And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another round of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter here with Jeff Amos and Caleb Culver. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Well,
We're doing good. I'm ready to dive into some divisional playoff results. It was quite the weekend, and I'm ready to project what's going to happen for championship weekend.
A lot of excitement that happened this weekend, and we're going to get into every little bit of it. Would like to thank everyone for joining us again here this evening. But let's go ahead and jump into the NFC divisional round. And that first game, which was actually the late game on Saturday, Green Bay at San Francisco.
true.
And 21-24, San Francisco was able to secure this victory. But the 49ers, there was a lot of talk earlier in the day about which team that had which number one seed, Baltimore, San Francisco, who was going to have the harder time, or who would be the team most likely to get knocked out. And pretty much everyone bought in that if anybody was going to get knocked out, it was going to be San Francisco, and they really got close to giving this game up.
Yeah, Green Bay is looking set for the future right now. Now, I also think there's some rust on the 49ers because they didn't really play their guys at all in the last week. And the 49ers finally shook that off around like late third quarter, fourth quarter period. Which also, I don't understand why people seem to be saying that everyone's attacking Tom Brady or attacking Brock Purdy right now. It's like, we're not attacking Brock Purdy. He had a bad game. We're stating the obvious. And then we're saying, okay, he came back and kind of redeemed himself at the end. But apparently a lot of people are saying everyone's throwing this loss on, or this poor performance on Brock Purdy's shoulders, which it kind of was at the start.
Well, it was, but it doesn't help when one of your top, weapons goes out early.
Exactly. And
Debo
Christian
getting hurt,
McCaffrey's
going out.
dealing with a little bit of a leg injury this game too. So I mean, they're banged up. But like I said, I think there was also rust going into this that was coming in, and Green Bay being the I don't care, we're throwing, we're hot. Just came
They
in,
did.
punches flying, and
as you said with the rust,
off guard.
they look sluggish. The offense wasn't clicking on all cylinders like it has been throughout most of the year. They looked like they kind of did in the Baltimore game. The only thing is they weren't going up against Baltimore, who just waxed the floor with them when they had a bad game then. And that was the
honestly, I compare it more to the Bengals, where the Bengals took care of them this year. It was just sloppy play and injuries that the 49ers were dealing with at that time.
And the defense, like Nick Bosa was on a milk carton. You didn't hear his name called the entire game. Where was he at? I mean, he's got to get in there and get those pressures. He's supposed to be a consistent player for Defense Player of the Year.
There's rest doesn't just affect the offense; it affects the defense too.
Well, true, it does. He looked like Micah Parsons out there.
Like, I guess the thing that bugged me against that Green Bay offensive line, they could not garner one sack. That's shocking with that caliber of a defense.
Especially when you had Fred Warner back there, orchestrating everything on defense.
Greenlaw too.
Who's supposed to be the best or one of the top two, middle linebackers in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And
obviously
he has no excuse to have rust.
Without those two turnovers from Green Bay, the 49ers could have very well lost this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, Green Bay had a missed kick that could have tied this game.
They did.
After 49ers technically could have gone down the field and tied the game because Green Bay already had the three. And that kind of changes the complexion of the game too.
He's been prone to miss all year long. He's not been money. It's not like it's
been their super weakness.
Happened. But he's a rookie. Yeah. He's a rookie. You expect that, although Dallas's rookie looked good until the very end. I mean, when he got jinxed by Greg Olsen and little baby KK.
Yeah, little baby KK.
I will always call Berkheimer little baby KK.
Oh, yeah.
As he should be called.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. They jinxed him on the game against the Commanders. Absolutely jinxed him. But
they did.
I mean, the Carlson has had his kicking woes, and they did nothing about it to find somebody else. They continue to stick with him, which good. If he's your guy, you stuck with him. But you run that risk with his track record, and he did miss that one that he shouldn't have missed for you, but you kind of knew that was going to happen. So
Well, he was
at
a
the end of the time,
possibility. Yes.
and then Love throws that interception there at the end across his body, across the field.
Horrible throw.
That's quarterback 101. I mean,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think
And
Green
he
Bay
looked
did
like
kinda
Dak
use that
Prescott
after
right then, is what he looked like.
he did. He did look like Dak.
Prescott
Or
at
he
that
looked like a
point.
young Romo. He looked like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Brett Favre did that all the time too. So in Green Bay, it's not like that's anything new. They've never seen that before. Brett Favre threw,
Yeah.
he leads
There's
with
a reason
interceptions.
he's the leader in interceptions still.
Exactly. There's a reason why, because he did that stuff all the time. I mean, that's just what you get when you have a quarterback that's going to do that, especially first year starter. So I mean, they look good, as you said. They're set up for the future. They truly are. But they should have had this game. They had this game in place,
And I think
and they let it get out
underrate
of their
this
hands.
Green Bay defense going into this playoffs, because they've shown a lot better than what I think people thought they were.
Well,
Well,
they
if you
did.
didn't hear it, if they didn't hear it the 100 times that Greg Olson talked about it, that the Thanksgiving game against Detroit, because how many times do they keep bringing that up? Like every other play that defense was out there, they're like, "Oh well, in Detroit on Thanksgiving, that's where they turned this around." Oh,
Yeah.
they did, but I don't need to hear
Mhm.
about it every second of every time that their defense is out on the field. Talk about
Yes,
something
no,
else.
I agree.
It was not good enough to save Joe Barry's job either. He was let go, so Green Bay is in the market for a new defensive coordinator. Another thing that really, I shouldn't say surprised me, but I should say impressed me was Aaron Jones picked up exactly where he left off after that Dallas game. He was able to run all over San Francisco.
So I mean, he
was
fresh
the main
legs,
catalyst
yeah.
for Green Bay to have the success that they did.
That early
It almost
start,
was good
yes,
enough
he
to win.
was.
To me, Aaron Jones is one of the most underrated running backs in the league.
He is, without a doubt.
This is the first year that I haven't had him in fantasy for the past 2 or 3 years, and every year he's just been just domination. I didn't go for him this year.
Yeah, the problem though is the
I didn't know
injury
what to
issues that he
expect.
has.
He always
That's
does
the
have
one
injury
downside
issues.
with him. He's
But
gonna
when
miss a
he is
game or
healthy,
two, but
when he's healthy, he is a
he's a
madman
baller.
back there. He is.
Oh,
He is.
yeah.
He's got the speed, he's got the
100%.
toughness, and he's been able to sustain it for quite a bit. So I'm starting to think if here I don't know how many more seasons he has that he's going to be able to do what he's been doing, because that does take in, running backs don't survive forever, unfortunately.
Right. That's
And
the
he's
only
getting
thing you have to worry about is
starting to hit-
durability and age.
He's starting to hit that.
Yeah,
He's starting to
he's
hit
a
that
little
wall.
30
yeah,
next
he's starting to get
December.
long in that running
Yeah.
back too.
But he is. Whenever he is healthy, he's still quick. He can still lay a hit and keep running for more. He can absorb a hit and keep going for more.
Yeah,
And
just ask the Cowboys and that 49ers defensive end or defensive line.
He's been very, very underrated, I think, through the last 2 or 3 seasons. He's been a top running back, and injuries have been what's kept him down, but he's good. Guy is good.
That's why his name's not up there with your Christian McCaffrey's. But like you said, whenever he is
even until
healthy
Christian
and in the
McCaffrey
game,
came to San Francisco, he was Christian Ice for Bones McCaffrey. He was hurt all the time.
He's the definition of injury prone for the longest time. McCaffrey was,
and he's even been injured this year. He still is, but he's just better. He has better players around him to help support him, to help him do what he
and he also, when you have a chance to win, you suck it up. He's doing that as well, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, winning solves everything.
Right. As we found with the Eagles last year. When you don't win.
I'm looking at something right now because there was something I need to remember about Aaron Jones. Give me just 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves.
He had 18 carries for 108 yards. Looks like he broke off a long one for 53. I don't remember when that one was, actually. I should.
Yeah, but I mean, also, too.
Romeo Dobbs sighting, man. 83 yards for that guy.
Oh, yeah. Cowboys where he didn't do anything all year long and then came out. No, I found out what it was. Before I made this statement, I wanted to make sure I had the correct information. I mean, and Aaron Jones coming out of El Paso, Texas.
Yeah.
UTEP graduate. He was a minor.
Yeah.
And, you don't see many UTEP players actually, causing that much ruckus in the NFL. So
No.
No,
it
you
just
don't.
shows the kind of player that he is. That hey, you're doing something well if you're putting up these numbers. I mean, yeah, you are injury prone, but you're putting up these numbers. But you came out of El Paso. Not much comes out of El Paso except for good tacos.
Yes.
Yeah,
That is true.
very true.
Yep. Anybody in El Paso, if you're listening, I'm not going to hate on you. I mean, I know there's bullets flying over there all the time, but the tacos are good from what I hear. I'm just not going.
That's why the chicken crossed the street in El Paso.
Oh, very true.
Yeah.
At least we're not talking about the big girls in San Antonio.
Oh God.
That's according to Barkley.
Yeah, that's according to Barkley. Like he
I
found
had
out
to
too. He
talk about
found
that, funny.
churros. So
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Into this second quarter's ending, and Phoenix is now 1 point behind Dallas, 58-57.
Oh my
That
God.
happens.
That's the
Well,
NBA. It happens all the
We'll
time.
get
Yeah,
we'll get that
happens.
into the gumbo.
But
But
yeah, 49ers, I think woke
think-
up at the end and showed they're obviously the better team.
well, I think this game demonstrated that Christian McCaffrey is the most valuable player on this team, bar none. He was able to display his ability not only behind the run game, but also to his ability to catch the ball. If it weren't for Christian McCaffrey, they would not have won this game.
Well, with Debo
Yeah,
going out,
no, they
early,
did
they needed
use
him to
him
step up in
well.
that other in the pass catching phase because
Right, exactly.
they were all over Ayuk. They were not letting him beat them.
No,
Well,
Ayuk
when
was
Debo went down,
non-existent.
double team.
Now Jennings did come in and actually made some really tough catches for San Francisco.
Yeah,
and helped
Jawan
out.
Jennings had a decent enough
And
game,
Kittle
but
had
that
another
was
81 yards and a touchdown. I just like
Yep.
the guy right now.
well, yeah. That's
And a
that
game.
goes with
Kittle can
that's
suck a
another.
fat one. I don't care what he does out there. He can suck a big fat one.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
I mean,
a
he still
douchebag,
had
but he had a good
I
game.
used to
couple
like
drops that should have been caught.
I used to like him, but for that T-shirt, he can suck a fat one. Hands down. Hands down. What else you guys want to talk about this? Green Bay, San Francisco. Y'all are ready to move on to the next game.
Let's
Yeah.
go to Tampa, Detroit.
Yeah.
We've said everything we
My
can about that. San
second
Francisco's
favorite
moving
game.
forward. We know that. Everybody kind of picked that. We all picked that one. So we'll go ahead and jump over to Detroit and Tampa Bay. Detroit taking this win at home, 31-23. Big win down there in Motown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and
true. Very true.
I think
This game was
we
closer than I
need
thought it would be,
to-
in all honesty, too. It was like 17-17 in the third. But
Mayfield looked good early.
Mm.
The defense stepped up. Tampa Bay's defense looked really good early and held Goff, held Gibbs down, and Detroit just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally we're able to open it up there at the end. And once again, just like in the San Francisco Green Bay game, Baker throwing that costly turnover at the end of the game where they were starting to make a push, try to tie this game up, and they just couldn't hold them. And Baker, okay.
Baker, so. He's had a phenomenal.
That's what I was going to say. If you're a Tampa Bay fan, you were okay, and you're happy re-signing Baker Mayfield and bringing him back next year, because the connection that he and Mike Evans made this year after you lost Tom Brady, no one expected them to be in the playoffs. Oh, they signed Baker Mayfield. Oh, well, there's our season gone. It helped that they were in the NFC South, which was putrid this year. And every division has those points. I mean, 5-6 years ago, the NFC East was just ungodly.
I was wanted at 9-8 or 8-8.
Yeah, it was
most important.
terrible.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in terms of re-signing Baker, yes, that's something you do. But most importantly, you have to re-sign Mike Evans. That is a must for this team.
Hands down. If they don't re-sign him, he's going to be hugely paid out on the free agency market. If he decides.
Well, he's highly susceptible to get the franchise. They know what he is to that team.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and you're making good money with that. But they have to have Mike Evans there. He's the heart and soul of the offense, and he's just a monster.
And I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care that he's going into his 11th year in the league. He has to be on that team. The guy's in the Hall of Fame. He's meant
Yeah.
everything to that franchise.
Excuse me. I
He
mean,
has to
when
be
you,
on the team.
yeah, like you said, I mean, like he had 147 yards and a touchdown in this game alone.
Right.
He had another 1,000-yard receiving year, which I think is the first time receivers done it for like 10 straight years or
Yes.
11 straight years, something like
10
that.
straight years. 10 straight years. Yep.
You've got to resign him. It's crazy.
He was good before Brady got there, but what he
Yes.
learned from those 2 years with Brady of how to get open, how to how to run my routes to get open for my quarterback has helped Baker this year, in my opinion. Just
Yeah,
that
he's
being
become
on
the
that
crafty
experience.
veteran. I think it helped him become the crafty veteran. So now,
He's
even
still
if
so
say he loses
tall.
some speed, yeah, he's a big and strong, and he's
Yeah.
also still got some of that quickness and knows a route tree. Like his route running ability is phenomenal too.
It is.
To
He
get that
he could be
space, like
set
you
up to be a
said.
taller Keenan Allen when it comes down to it. Because Keenan Allen's still knocking it out in his old age. I say that when I'm
Well,
older than him, but
yeah, but Keenan Allen also has the injury issues where Evans is.
Evans has had a couple injury issues in his career. They have been
He
as consistent
has,
as
but
Keenan Allen.
not Keenan Allen level. Keenan
Well,
Allen has
I'm
missed
not bringing up
multiple
that part. I'm bringing up
seasons.
the whole part that Keenan Allen still runs crisp routes as a receiver that you don't think is going to ever do anything, and still has a good season when he's in the game.
Well, that's the Aaron Jones argument, yeah.
Well, true, but he's older than Aaron Jones, though. But wide receivers
One
do
thing-
last longer than running backs.
Yeah.
One thing
I
that I
mean-
want to bring up in this game is not to get too far off topic, but Jared Goff, like everyone put him out to pasture because Sean McVay said he wasn't worthy of winning a
Yeah.
Super Bowl, and then the Rams won a Super Bowl with Stafford. But I think it's time to acknowledge that Jared Goff is actually a pretty damn good quarterback. He is on the verge of taking two different teams to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
The guy turned around a franchise.
He's
What?
great at home, but his road records and stats are not the same as his home stats.
He's taken the freaking Lions to the NFC Championship game. That hasn't happened in 32 years. The guy deserves some credit. He took the
I'm
Rams
not saying
to.
he doesn't.
He
Him
took
and
the
Dan
Rams to the
Campbell
Super Bowl.
have ridden this wagon and deserve all the credit in the world. I mean, people were not talking in the first year. They were like 2-13 or something like that.
3-13. They went 3-13-1, and actually were able to get the second overall pick, which they took Hutchinson with.
Yeah, well, they took it with
Which is
so I mean, people were saying
that
that a black coach should have been hired, and they're
Yeah, I
losing
did.
out to
That was
people like
Jamel
Dan
Hill.
Campbell.
That was Jamel Hill.
I
So,
saw
mean,
that,
all
and
the
that
props
comment
to
aged
those
like
two.
milk. It aged like milk
Yeah.
is what it did.
It did. I mean, yeah, you need more black coaches in the league. I get it, but at the same time, like Dan Campbell is the real deal and has proven it. And as Jeff said, Goff is the real deal. He is a good QB. I am saying he's not as good on the road, which he gets to go to the 49ers now, but he has been extremely good this playoffs as well.
Well, see,
I believe he's thrown for 2
McVay
touchdowns
sent
in
him
at least
out.
every game.
And when McVay sent him out, that was the thing, is that Super Bowl they lost to the Patriots. And I put that loss on Sean McVay, not on Jared Goff. I think McVay was coached and came into that game like a deer in headlights of, oh, I'm coaching against Bill Belichick. Oh, and then got completely waxed and overdone. And then he
probably breathed in the hype of his own greatness too.
He did.
Sure.
And to me, what he did is he got outfoxed by the fox.
Right.
And then he turned around and made, instead of learning from that, he decided to turn Jared Goff into a scapegoat. And they sold out for everything, which they got their Super Bowl. They did. And we talked last week, hey, Ram fans, you have everything to celebrate because you got back in the playoffs when no one expects you to get in for another 5 or 6 more years. I mean, you had sold everything to get in. So good for you.
Puka and hiring from this latest draft.
You're still drafting well, which that's what you do to be able to build your team back up after you do something that drastic. But
Yeah.
Goff, I thought when he went there, I was like, okay, he's in Detroit. He's done. That's where quarterbacks go to die. But he has
Yeah.
slowly, him and Dan Campbell have
Especially without
changed
Calvin
the
Johnson.
culture.
Like, okay.
It also, too, let's not forget about that Super Bowl run that the Rams had where Todd Gurley just decided to disappear. Because it was at the start of that
He did.
playoff. At the start of that playoff run, his career was over. Basically.
Yeah.
Mhm.
His knees were gone by that.
Well, they knew that risk when they drafted him out of Georgia. They knew that.
Exactly.
And he did do well for a few years.
Yeah, he was phenomenal for like.
I mean, when you get
4 years, he was great.
when you draft a running back, you pretty much know that at the end of their rookie contract, they're pretty much done. You need to go ahead and move on at that point. You can't give them a big contract because
If
that
they've
year after
been
you the big
good.
contract is going to go down every single time.
Yep.
They could, but 9 times out of 10 they don't.
It depends. Now if they've been good under that rookie contract, yeah, they're going to go down for sure. But if they've been kind of half-assing it, then yeah, okay, they might have a shot to be good on the second.
But they're half-assing it. They're not going to get a big contract.
I'm not saying half-assing as in that's their mentality. I'm saying like, oh, they weren't played as much, their stats weren't great, type of thing.
So you're saying Tony Pollard is what you're saying?
Yes.
Who's they're going to let walk in free agency this year?
And they should.
They should.
12 million off the books. They should cut Steele too.
Anyways, that goes. But good for Detroit. The city of Detroit needed this. And actually,
I'm rooting for
Detroit
Detroit one more time. I'm going to root for them one more time when they go up against the San Francisco 49ers next week. They're just the feel-good story of the playoffs right now.
This is an out there stat that I saw is that Chicago really needs to work on getting their football team working because with Detroit's current success in football, homicide rates have been down in Detroit this year. And I'm not trying to get political, but I'm just saying that the stats are showing that there's been less crime, less murder.
Balls, right?
Yeah.
And
everyone's
it's Detroit. It's always cold as balls in Detroit. Are you kidding me? It's Detroit.
Well, no, it's like we talked about earlier. People were stealing from fucking Chicago's home field, bulldozers and construction equipment that they were trying to use to make the stadium better.
Yes.
So the Bears are losing their little relevance there.
Chicago just needs to take.
Chicago.
They need to get some success.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to just be football. In one of their teams, they need some success because it's proven it right here that Detroit has had some of the lowest homicide rates they've had in the last like 10, 15 years. And it coincides with Lions' success.
Yeah.
Saying something to look out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game was actually exciting and fun to watch. I did.
Yeah, that's why Dallas murder rates are on the rise.
No, exactly. Well, that's just good. Well, I think there's more death threats to McCarthy. But for when if you'd have told me at the beginning of the season, okay, Detroit and Tampa Bay are going to be in the divisional round of the playoffs against each other in Detroit, and it's going to be an exciting game, I would have slapped you across the face and told you I'm going to slap the taste out of your mouth because that wouldn't happen. This game was exciting to watch and very enjoyable to watch.
Yes.
All right. Well, that leaves us here at the end of the NFC divisional round. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back and talk about the AFC. And welcome back from the break. Hey, it's time to get into the AFC. This is the realm of you two right here, AFC, and then we only have one of you that has a team still in the running, Caleb.
Yep.
And we're gonna go ahead and start with your Baltimore Ravens, and really the blowout of the whole weekend, where they were able to dismantle Houston 34-10, and
honestly,
close early.
This game had me worried. I was even texting y'all like, what the hell going into halftime when we're tied 10-10 and they had just given up a punt return to get it to 10-10. Now, looking back on this, you're like, they didn't give up an offensive score to this C.J. Stroud, who was so phenomenal in the first round of the playoffs. They didn't give up a touchdown to him. And the running game itself was virtually non-existent.
Especially after what C.J. Stroud did to Cleveland the week before. And they're coming in hot. And they showed,
Yes.
I mean, they didn't get it an
Now,
offensive.
again, I think the Ravens had some rust. I think the Ravens offense had some rust. That defense was ready to go. Like I said,
the defense
if
was
that
ready,
defense says they're pissed,
the offense,
especially if it comes from Roquan Smith's mouth, just fucking trust them and stay out of their fucking way. Because every time he's mentioned it, like I said, the 49ers game before this game, they just come out and they just fucking demolish teams on defense. Because they're pissed.
well, like
now we didn't get as many pressures as I liked. Arthur Mallett was the only guy that seemed like got any pressure on it. But that, yeah, like I said, that run game, 38 total yards rushing. That is phenomenal.
We talked about that on the season finale against Pittsburgh. That is this going to affect with Russ going 2 games rest in a row with the bye week already secured. But in that game, they didn't. The defensive players, Roquan Smith, Queen,
they played a lot of that game.
They actually did play a lot, and to me, that showed
the fourth quarter nearly.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They got in, they got their reps, and I think that actually helped them on top of that mentality that Roquan Smith has, which getting him from Chicago was phenomenal. Roquan Smith is to me, him and Fred Warner are the 2 best linebackers in the league. They're phenomenal. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him, but I think to me that kept them coming out hard and fast and mean and angry, that they saw what C.J. Stroud did to Cleveland and how how they just couldn't.
They kept talking about C.J. Stroud's a different QB. He's improved. Like I said, that defense took it to heart and said, we're better too.
And that's what we brought up last week, is that they needed to take it to heart. They needed to come out there, and they did what they needed to do. The only touchdown came in that punt return. They completely shut down Houston's offense. Completely shut them down. And then, but in that second half, Lamar Jackson looked like Lamar Jackson again, and the offense started.
I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to hold you for a second there and go back to this conversation we talked about Lamar Jackson not being the playoff winner. Lamar Jackson, if he loses this game, does this all of a sudden become an issue where he's kind of Dak Prescott? And I would say no. Like Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson, when they realized in the second half, really, I think that this offense was not going. More of it came on Lamar Jackson's back and legs in that second half and started getting this offense rolling. And finally, they took off. So I think Lamar Jackson's proven he's much more of a leader, and he's proven me wrong in that regard. So thank you, Lamar Jackson, for that. I'll eat the crow happily on that regard.
You have like 30 pounds of crow to eat for that one.
You really do.
Yeah, I do, and I'll eat it happily. Like I said, I mean, Super Bowl and Lamar, I'll take it. But I mean, he's been phenomenal overall. I think he's the first QB to have 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards rushing, 100 yards passing, and a touchdown in both category in a playoff game.
Well, yeah, 4 total touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, 4 total touchdowns too. But I'm just saying, like, the dual threat ability is outrageous, and then just the numbers themselves speak for themselves. And what's funny too, I don't know if y'all caught that earlier in the game where he threw a little low to Isaiah Likely around the end zone, and Isaiah Likely points up, and in the late third quarter, they get another second chance to run the kind of that same play, and he throws a little toss up, and Isaiah Likely does a fabulous comeback over the defender catch in the air and gets the touchdown.
Absolutely, that was great. That was probably the highlight of the game.
And talking about Likely,
agreed.
He's still tearing it up there at the tight end position. Mark Andrews was not able to play in this game. He was not able to come off the IR. Now he is going to be eligible to play here in the championship game.
They've already said he's going to play. Actually, he is slated to start.
Yeah, he's available to play.
Game.
But
Marlon Humphrey is questionable, but he's favored to play as well.
But to have him and Likely and run that in a 2 tight end set, especially there on the goal line, that's scary
Yeah.
to a defense.
And Bateman had actually a really good game too. So I mean, like I said, we've mainly focused on Zay Flowers and that wide receiver and Odell Beckham, but Bateman had himself a game. Caught
great game.
several crucial yardage passes where we needed to get downs and distance. Got us a couple third downs a couple times with some great catches. Odell also got us a nice continuation of a drive on a third down for a first down. So, I mean, the receivers did their job very well this game, too.
The other thing I wanted to bring out is you brought up Monken.
Which is not something you can say about the Ravens.
And what kind of a tear he is going to be on if Baltimore keeps succeeding and keeps going on to win the Super Bowl. Coming off the last 2 years.
Who's tear? I missed something.
Todd Monken.
Todd Monken, okay.
Yeah, winning 2 national championships with Georgia back to back, and then if he can come back with Baltimore and win the Super Bowl,
what third championship in 3 years?
What other offensive coordinators had that kind of success?
It's something to look Eric Bellamy's the only guy I can think of in the NFL right now.
Yeah, but it's really more of a product of Andy Reid, I would say. And also,
I don't know about
and Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes. I mean, he was in a good environment. Don't get me wrong, but he made Washington serviceable, where Washington would have been just absolute dog shit.
Well,
this
also
year.
too, your defensive coordinator, coordinator, and Mike McDonald.
Get some tape on Sam Howell.
Is also another guy that I think could be.
Yeah,
in the
exactly. Yeah,
some head coaching.
Very true, Jeff. Very true. Don't forget about Mike McDonald, man. Those schemes. I mean, there's not a named rusher on this team besides Clowney who's over the hill, and they lead the league in sacks. And they're great at disguising things. If you watch them line up, they rotate, they move around. It's phenomenal. I think one of his actual most successful sack rate is a QB sack, where he has this random QB coming around the side, like Arthur Mallett got the pressures this game. So, I mean, you're absolutely right, Jeff. If he doesn't get interviewed, at least, it's going to be very surprising to me.
Speaking about Clowney, he was fired up this game. Going against the team that drafted him.
His former team,
yes. All over
he was
the place.
gruesome against the run and laying hits on people,
He looked like he did his rookie year. Like it looked like a rewind of his career when he first came out of South Carolina, and he was really into it.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I know you want to show up your old teams. I don't think the Texans necessarily did him dirty in any regards. They had him for like 8 years, and then they're like, okay.
They didn't do him dirty. They just didn't win. That's what it was. Right. They didn't win, and he wanted to win. That's what every player has something that motivates him. Clowney is motivated by winning. That's why he came to Baltimore and left Cleveland. He's motivated by winning, and they're winning. And when you're winning, he's motivated. That's why he was. They laid him up with signals in his contract.
This is almost the first year that he had double-digit sack totals. I think he had 9.5, so very close to it.
He is motivated by winning.
Yeah, and he's been a great run defender too. Like you say, everyone talks about the pass rush he has, but he has been able to set that edge on that run.
This has been one of his best seasons in his career. It's been one of the best seasons he's had, hands down. And it just shows what motivates this man. He's motivated by winning.
Yes, agreed.
Some players are. That's what they are.
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping he gets signed again, because he's on a 1-year deal, if I remember right. So I'm hoping he's definitely one of our priority free agents, in my opinion.
Yeah, because at the end of the season, when he hit his sack incentive rate or his tackle incentive rate, you could see him jumping around, just excited. He was just happy to be there. Yeah, he was happy he got paid. He was just happy of the way his season has gone. I mean, kudos to him. I mean, if you would have told me 2 years ago Jadeveon Clowney would be doing what he's doing now and he'd be in Baltimore doing it, I'd be like, you're stupid. He's over it. He's done. He's moving out to pasture. No, he's still proven he's very serviceable. Now, I don't think you need to give him like a 5-year deal or anything, but if you can get him,
see a 3-year deal come his way at least.
I'd give him 2, but 2 with a possible 3.
Well, you do 3, and they'll probably retire after 2 years because I don't think Clowney's got too much left
He's
or where
not-
he wants to play.
He's not going to
Especially
get
if a Super Bowl
deal,
does
but
come this year, knock on wood.
as long as you keep it incentive laden, you should be all right.
Oh, for sure.
Keep
for
it incentive laden.
Which is those injury prone players, I feel like you have to.
Absolutely.
You
have
make
to
them
do that.
incentive prone. With a
prove me.
good signing
Prove me.
bonus.
Yeah, prove me a deal and give him a good signing bonus. You'll be good to go. All right. Well, now to get to the exciting game of the week. Kansas City at
We just left the
Buffalo.
exciting game. We just left the exciting game.
No, that was the blowout.
I know.
That was the blowout.
That was a snooze.
Blowout.
The only source of offense was that punt return. That was it.
So we'll now talk
Yep.
about what everybody wants to hear. Taylor Swift was at the game. We all know it was. Jason
Yep.
Kelce
And
was
Travis
partying.
Kelce,
Jason Kelce partied with the tailgaters. He embraced
Yeah.
Bills Mafia. Bills
didn't
Mafia
have a shirt,
embraced
held up a girl,
him.
so Taylor Swift.
He
could see her
roared
side.
like a monster out there with his shirt off in the freezing
Oh,
Buffalo
yeah.
temperature. He
was
he
having a
took
good old
the
fun time in his retirement.
everyone kept asking, why are we talking about Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift when Jason Kelce is just stealing the show, and everyone thinks Jason Kelce is the most, the best human ever. Like he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, he's still got to win me over. I'm not sold yet.
Right.
Sorry, once an Eagle, always an Eagle.
Yeah.
Even T.O. was an Eagle.
Yep. Very true. He at least came for the Cowboys for a bit. So
However, we talked about this last week, and this was the game where I differed from you two.
Yeah, this
Both
is the
picked
decider, I think,
game.
of overall picks.
Drank Kool-Aid. You brought it in. And as I told you then, you don't bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. You don't.
Well, you don't bet about the refs either. Those refs were giving them a lot of shit. The Chiefs, I felt like, got away with a lot of shit.
That sounds that sounds
like
you're
fourth
a little
quarter.
better about that. Yeah, I think you
I'm
just
a
want
little
to face
better. I was looking at those refs. I was like, what the fuck is this nonsense? Like, that's a personal foul. That's a hold. And it's just like
Travis
the refs
Kelce
just
ended up
swallowed
with
the flags
leading
for the
receivers
fourth
with
quarter for the
75
Chiefs.
yards, and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, Kansas City able to hold it off 27-24.
I mean, this wasn't a good
Fighting
offensive
game.
night for either team, to be honest.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
It was a defensive slugfest. Yeah, it's weird to say a 27-24 has no good offense, but to me, neither team shined offensively. Like KC's still who we thought they were. Their receivers suck except for Rice. Kelce's getting old and will have a drop or two, but then he'll have a decent game. So they are who we thought they were.
Well, in my mind, everyone wants us to go to the narrative. Well, Mahomes beat Allen again, and Allen's not good enough to beat Mahomes. My narrative for this is, once again, Andy Reid outcoaches Sean McDermott. I thought Buffalo schematically was
I thought
awful.
Allen played a great game.
Allen played a fantastic game, and I'm going to have to disagree with you, Caleb. I thought Buffalo was horrendous defensively.
Well, I'm saying they were bad defensively too.
Just because Patrick Mahomes only threw for 215 yards doesn't mean he was inefficient. Also, too, Isaiah Pacheco was able to run all over that Buffalo defensive line. And then
Pacheco looked like Jerome Bettis running through
exactly.
Everything.
Yeah. And you made Travis, you turned back the clock with Travis Kelce in this game. You had one responsibility, is to limit Travis Kelce's production. And then what does your defense do? Allow Travis Kelce to be Travis Kelce.
And we had this conversation last week where you guys said Travis Kelce was done over the hill, and I said game was too cold. Watch, he's going to come out in this next game, and he's going to show something here, because that last game, nobody would have played well in because of how cold it was. And what did I tell you? 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, led all receivers.
Shut up.
And McDermott was outcoached again. He was outcoached again. This is 6 times now that he's been outcoached by Andy Reid. And this is going to be the same result. To me, I would have fired McDermott on Monday, because if the goal is to win the Super Bowl, You're not going to win it with that guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who do you
He didn't
hire
even
in
want.
his place?
He didn't even want Josh Allen in there.
Hey,
That's why they've
Hey,
been running the ball.
they can trade Dallas for Mike McCarthy.
There you go. We'll switch.
I'm done. I'll switch. I'll switch coaches. Hey, put McCarthy in the
Coach, who'd you
AFC
get,
and bring
the
McDermott to
Titans?
the NFC. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Or we could trade Dak Prescott for Josh Allen. Let's see.
Oh, I'd do that in a heartbeat. I think every
What
Dallas
about the
Cowboy
old Titans?
coach has
Yeah.
that heartbeat.
Oh,
Mike Vrabel.
Jeff Fisher.
No, not Jeff Fisher.
Jeff
the guy who just
Fisher.
got fired.
Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel. What about Vrabel?
No. Well, actually, I think he'd be great for Buffalo.
That's what I was saying. For Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh,
If
I'm a Buffalo fan, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Besides Kelce, Rashee Rice, he had a great game. He did come up a little injured for a point, which looked like it was going to be scary, but he's able to stay in the game. But Rashee Rice, North Richland Hills native, SMU guy.
SMU.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for somebody to root for, there's somebody to root for right there. You can root for Rashee Rice and hope he does well. You know, as everybody is rooting against Mahomes and not wanting to tease.
Nobody wants to see Mahomes win anymore. They're tired of it.
You are saying that as a Baltimore fan. That's what you're saying because you have to play them.
No, that is actually what I've heard. Is like besides like the people in like
a lot of people are saying
Kansas City's own people.
Not in Dallas.
Are like
Caleb. There's still so many tech people here. There's still so many people.
Well, you're
obsessed
kind of
with this
insulated
Texas
with
time.
People. You're kind of insulated with tech.
That's
people.
true.
I think you might
That's
be
true.
A little out over.
That's true. That's true. But there's a reason why there's so many Chiefs bars around here now.
And there's a reason too. While Kyle Murray was like, everyone went out and watched that draft because Kyle Murray was A&M and could have gone number 1. So I mean, if there's a Texas boy in there,
OU, so yeah.
Texas, yeah, very true. People will want to watch from Texas if there's a Texas boy somewhere in there, and they'll find him and they'll root for him.
But yeah, I
don't forget Dan Campbell's a Texas boy too and played for the Cowboys.
You know, as hopeless as it seems for Dallas, I think it's even more so for Buffalo because I just don't know where you go. I mean, to me, I'll say this: one thing in your
favor, and you still fuck it up.
One thing I'll say about this is that Stephon Diggs, get rid of his ass. They did everything they could to appease Stephon Diggs this year, and
I trade Diggs for Jordan Addison. In all honesty.
Well,
or Justin Jefferson if you can get him, but I doubt you can get Justin Jefferson.
I don't think you can get Justin Jefferson. Oh, sitting back to Minnesota? Really?
Yeah.
You were cruel. Like Minnesota would take you after he walked away. They wouldn't take him back.
No.
The Minnesota fans would be rioting. They would be swinging battle axes at that would not happen at all. That is a pipe dream. That will never happen in 100 years.
That is absurd. Why the hell would they do that? You know that's ridiculous.
Okay,
you know
that's what I'm saying. You got to trade for Jordan Addison.
And I'll give you my pipe dream right here. You're not going to get that for him because he's not motivated to play at this point. He's late and he's long in the tooth as receiver. So my pipe dream is that now Trayvon Diggs will get his hope that Dallas reaches out and tries to get him in so that the Diggs brothers can play together and put him on the other side of CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, I think that could happen, and I think this could be.
I think they signed Higgins instead.
No, I think they'll go after Stephon Diggs because Jerry is so desperate to look for some sort of spark to get the fan base excited because he knows he cannot bring the same exact shit back that he did a year before. So I think Stephon Diggs is in my opinion
that shit got you
most likely. I bet you he's in a Cowboys uniform next year. I bet you he's in a Cowboys uniform.
Stephon Diggs, and I would like to see Derrick Henry as well, even long on the tooth as he is. But those two on this team,
number one free agent signing the Dallas needs to make easily.
I agree. But if you can get him and Stephon Diggs, That's the excitement that you can light underneath your fan base to try and get them to
That's
be
when
back.
Jerry Jones says this team
Well,
has more talent than the '90s, and then you fucking lose again in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, I
because
know,
Cowboys
but-
don't
Exactly.
show up.
But again, this would be the perfect.
Well, even adding
recipe.
those two pieces, Dak Prescott will still look like a deer in headlights when it comes down to it. So even then, with those pieces,
I
he still
like
needs
the
to go back.
analysis that came out of that little locker room. If Dak doesn't see his first read, he panics. I look back
Exactly.
at more tape and I'm like, I think that's a very accurate fucking statement.
No, that's exactly what I don't
That's
have
a
to look
little
back at the
handsy.
tape. I can be looking at the game and
supposed to
going,
be.
"What the f- is he doing? This is
Mhm.
ridiculous." Like you're looking at them throwing to triple coverage when you have two other guys that are wide open.
Can we also
It's
say?
obvious.
But
I mean, that's
that's
a
an
horrible
argument for
throw.
next year. We probably need to
That
get
is
back to that.
that's conversation for the offseason.
But
We'll talk about
we'll
that
let
more.
Jeff finish his comment, then we'll get back to the
Go for it.
actual game of the year.
Oh, I was just going to say that in regards to that throw from Dak, yes, it was a horrible throw, but also too, we could blame McCarthy a little bit for the play call, right? Because why are you going to throw three slants going in the exact same direction? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, his entire play calling, the Texas Toast offense, is Porter likes to call it. It's very aptly named because it's not a very good offense, but it has some very good, talented players running behind it.
Regardless, we're distracted yet again, and we're trying to be talking about Kansas City. And
No,
Buffalo.
but this is what Jerry holds
wants.
all of our collective sacks in his hands.
he does. And that's why the Cowboys are the most lucrative franchise in all of professional sports.
I can't think of anything. Like I said, I mean, they seem to have an emerging running game with James Cook coming out.
Cook has
for
looked
Buffalo,
good, but
it's got to be a coaching change at this point. Either the head coach, a defensive coordinator, an OC coordinator, something has got to change on the coaching side.
I think Joe Brady's done a hell of a job since taking over for Ken Dorsey because he was responsible for this big run and getting Buffalo to win the East. I think Joe Brady should deserve
Are you sure he's responsible?
I think he is, yes.
Well, we're going to see we're going to see where things fall because I don't think that the Bills are ready to get rid of McDermott just yet, but I think that there's going to be some coordinator changes. I think it's going to we're going to give you one more chance. You do a different coordinator, but if we don't have some success and at least get to the Super Bowl, at least I think McDermott's head is on the chopping block next year. He's going to be a hot seat.
Honestly, I think this at this point it's come down more to an Ohio State / Michigan job. You've got to beat the Chiefs and get to a Super Bowl. You've got to beat this team and you've got to win a championship. Otherwise, we're not happy. Now, if they don't meet in the playoffs, that's a different story. But like I said, I mean,
well, they meet up
Buffalo
in
wants
the
to
next year again.
Kansas City, right?
So they have another chance to beat them in the regular season. If they can beat them in the regular season, then don't face them in the playoffs, which is their ideal situation.
Yeah, but I mean, they beat them in the playoffs this year, and look what the fuck happened.
Well, I think really the main thing is that Sean McDermott needs to hire a defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have one because he thinks he's a freaking genius. So I think it would be good for him if he actually hired a defensive coordinator.
And I think that will probably be the change that happens this offseason is they get a DC and he offloads play calling ability to said DC.
And becomes just an official head coach and watches over everything. He watches the game and then steps in when he needs to. That's probably what he needs to do.
But, right. That's probably the best change I think Buffalo can make this offseason. Besides, like you said, maybe getting rid of Diggs. But
I think that's at least at the very minimum that Buffalo needs to do is actually get a legitimate defensive coordinator. And again, if McDermott wants to fucking call the plays defensively, then go right ahead. But you have to have some sort of at least figurehead.
Little checks and balance type of thing.
Yes, exactly.
And the last thing I want to bring up about this game is once again, Buffalo is plagued by the wide right.
Yes.
Once again, wide right.
This
I
is one
saw
of the more
fans, they
snake bit
showed fans on TV
franchises.
crying, and I'm sorry, as mad as I was about the Cowboys getting knocked out by the Green Bay Packers again, I wasn't crying.
Well, the Chiefs
That
were
was
also making
too
fun
much.
of everybody in the stands, and then supposedly Buffalo cut the hot water off with the Chiefs locker room after the game was over too.
So that's just funny.
Oh, I
And
agree.
then, the Chiefs were also complaining about Buffalo fans throwing snowballs at them at the end of the game.
They were, and it was like, suck it up. It's a fucking
It's
snowball.
snowball.
It's not like you're in Philly where you got a
They
battery
had
in it.
batteries in them. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They were just
Like,
snowballs.
you crybabies.
What do you expect from Bills Mafia? Especially
Yeah.
after they lost.
Yeah, exactly. If you're taunting them like we saw on the TV, obviously. Of course, you're going to get snowballs thrown
Well, they were
at your ass. That's what I'm saying. The Chiefs were taunting them. So, of course,
Yeah.
you're going
Also-
to
I know. I saw it. I watched Chris Jones and them taunting him, just hollering up at everything. I saw it. I was watching.
And that was a flat out choke job by the kicker. It wasn't the weather or anything like that.
Sad but true.
It was he just pushed it. That's all.
Which Bass had to deactivate all of his social media accounts because of death threats.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well,
sure.
Tony had to do
But I
it at
mean,
the start of this year.
Everyone's
Chiefs.
had to do that, and that comes into fans.
Hey, it's sad we have
stop
to do this shit.
taking the
It's like,
game
why are
so
fans going? Yeah,
damn
there's
seriously.
no need to send death threats, and
It's a
why the fuck are
game.
you annoying? Yeah, why are you annoying Dak Prescott's brother like he controls Dak somehow? Leave the motherfucker alone.
Like
Dallas
on with
Cowboys
your-
fans on that one,
Get on.
but yeah,
And I read that, and I saw that, and I saw his response and everything too. And that's the whole thing.
Mm,
Get over it. Okay, it's a game. Yes, we're
Yeah.
sitting here talking a podcast, trying to make something big out of this, talking about sports because we love it. But at the same day, guess what? You know what? Last week I had my rant about how much I was tired of the Cowboys and how much they suck. But you know what? I didn't cry about it. I didn't message
Yeah.
Dak Prescott and tell him that I'm going to come, kill him
right.
because
There's no reason to go
You
stand.
don't do that. No.
anybody.
I vented. I have an outlet now to vent besides my wife and my friends. I mean, I still would have vented to you guys over text
Yeah.
message during the game like I did before we talked about
Yeah.
it on here. You now have an outlet to vent. There's no reason for that in any sports.
Yeah.
No, don't sit there and do
Agreed.
that. That degrade. These guys are getting paid
It
to play.
degrades your fan base as a whole, I feel like.
It
for
does.
doing that.
It does. Now, yes, these guys are getting paid a lot of money to play a game, but at the same time, as a fan, you have to realize this is a game. I understand being loyal to your team, but there's a time when you just get a jackass.
Yeah.
Stop being
Yeah.
a jackass.
Like, I mean, if you want to call for somebody's job, do it. But yeah,
Do it. I'll call for. I'm calling for jobs
to
to the left and right, but there's a point. There's a line. You need to cross that because this is just a game. You're watching this. This is it's entertainment.
Bring
That's what it
people's
is.
fucking families into
No.
this shit, or
Don't
like,
bring anything else into it.
people's
You want to call
lives.
for a
It's
job?
bullshit.
And I'm one that
Yeah,
I don't
call for
want
a
anyone to
job.
lose their job. Hey, people lose their job all the time. People get laid off. People get fired all the time. Don't really care for that. But at the same time, in sports, that's a little bit different when you're calling for somebody's job just because you don't think they're doing a good job for it. I mean, that's different than sending death threats. So fans, don't do that. Don't be that. Don't be that guy.
Please don't be that guy or
Don't
gal.
be that guy. Don't be that guy. Not good. Yeah, so just don't be that fan. Don't sit there and do that. Don't be a jackass. Anyways, I'm done with this. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back here with the AFC and NFC Championship games here in just a moment. And welcome back from the break as we're ready to jump into the AFC Championship game. Kansas City at Baltimore. And Baltimore coming out 3.5 favorite, 3.5 point favorite. Sorry.
Yes.
Hey, we're not cutting that. We'll leave that in. I just messed it up.
Yeah.
3.5 point favorites coming into this
Close
game.
enough.
And I think this is a pretty fair spread when it comes down to it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I completely
like I
agree.
said, I mean, this is Baltimore. I mean, they golly, This is the first time they're hosting the AFC Championship game in 53 years. 1970 with the Baltimore Colts was the last time Baltimore did this. So the Ravens have technically not
that was
done so
Johnny
well.
Unitas.
Yeah, Johnny Unitas, another Louisville QB, actually,
Mhm.
who threw for a touchdown that game. Good for him. Tickets at the time were $15, if you want to know.
Oh.
But
we're living in the wrong era. We are living in the wrong era.
Super Bowl
But I
one.
mean, the
Super Bowl
Ravens
one,
are like
Chiefs and
bringing all the
Packers for
stuff. You got
$7.50.
Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Jonathan Ogden. I mean, they're bringing everybody that has a name in Baltimore back for this game. A is motivation, and I believe they're going to be wearing the purple threads this game as well. So that'll be very cool to see. Right. Now, I do kind of want to bring up a point. Like you said, they're the 3.5 favorites, or 3.5 favorites going in Baltimore. Mr. Peter Schrager off of Good Morning America doesn't understand how they're 3.5 favorites in this game. Good Morning NFL, or Good Morning Football, according to this article I'm looking at, is the name of the show. And I'm like, as we kind of mentioned off kind of air when we were talking about it, 3 points is usually given to a home team.
Yes.
Not only that, the Baltimore Ravens have beaten 11 teams this year with a winning record.
Yes.
They have the confirmed MVP in Lamar Jackson.
What after they did to Miami in the end of the season, what they did to San Francisco right before that? Because he is an idiot. Boo this man.
Fair enough. I was just like, how can you say the Chiefs should be favored in this game?
He is going for clickbait. He's jumping on top of this. Kansas City beating Buffalo at home. Patrick Mahomes winning his first postseason game on the road. That yes, he can win it on the road, and just riding the curtails. And honestly, he was doing what I did last week. If you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, but at this point, Buffalo's defense is not Baltimore's defense. It's not.
Yes, no, not anywhere near it this year.
It is not, and it doesn't take much to motivate this Baltimore defense. It doesn't take much.
Very true.
Houston beating Cleveland motivated Roquan Smith, as you said earlier. It's not going to take much. And so,
and an offensive score was not allowed in that game.
It was not.
Looking back on it, so that's
you know what?
Crazy.
This comment coming out is something Roquan Smith will probably put up on the board and say, "Hey,
I hope him or Harbaugh do
just piss them off."
This is what they're talking about now. We're not favored. We're at home, and we're still not favored.
And we shouldn't be favored.
This Mahomes team, yeah. Oh, well, my gosh, like I think Baltimore is going to have a good game. Actually, I can see Baltimore winning by actually 2 touchdowns.
It could happen because the way your defense plays. I don't think it'd be high scoring.
I mean, you got the number one scoring. You have the number 1 scoring defense and the number 2 scoring offense. So you're going to be able to put up points. I think you've worked off that rust after the first game. Got Lamar Jackson kind of back into his groove. Heaven forbid you get Mark Andrews back and Marlon Humphrey, who is expected to be back as well as your defensive side. Like you said, you could be running 2 tight end attacks. Not to mention you got Bateman, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham playing.
Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely on
Justice
each side.
Hill had a great game. Dalvin Cook started looking like he could be awesome as well near the end of that game. Gus Edwards. Oh, man.
Now, what scares me is getting
Ronnie Stanley even had a good game, actually, and I left him out. I apologize. He had a phenomenal game last week, too.
What scares me, if I was on defense, having Likely and Andrews that I'm having to worry about in the red zone, because that's going to be almost impossible to guard. It really is. Likely has really come out here at the end of the season with Andrews' injury, and to bring Andrews back and put those two together, I don't expect either one of them to go out and break a 60-yard run. But to put them in the red zone and be able to have their pass catching ability and have them build as big as they are to get into the open space. I mean, I wasn't expecting Likely to do what he's done, but he's shown that he can be serviceable there, very serviceable. And then you got Andrews
Yes.
along with it. That's a scary 2-punch. And that's not even bringing up all the other weapons that you have. That's just
Yeah.
adding a weapon to this arsenal. It's
Mhm.
it may be too much for Kansas City to be able to cover. It may be.
Right. Yeah. The question I think is going to come down to Ravens offensive line versus the Chiefs defensive line. That's going to be the
Mhm.
battle that decides this game. Because if you can put pressure on Jackson, he's been better this year, but he has historically had issues when you put pressure on him.
Every quarterback does.
Well, except Mahomes. Mahomes and Tom Brady are the only two I can think of that are like
Mahomes has
put pressure on
also
him and their
been
passer rating goes up.
the next generational quarterback. You only get one generational quarterback that comes through. I mean,
yeah, no, I agree.
somebody's got to be at the top of the hill. Somebody's got to.
Yeah. Well, Lamar Jackson may be that after this game. Fuck it, who knows? If he keeps continuing improving the way he's doing. Yeah.
This is his game to be on top of the AFC hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I expect Baltimore to win this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's done by 2 touchdowns.
Well, I'll go ahead and put Baltimore down for your picks because I already know that's what you're picking.
Yeah.
So.
We'll do our
I'm not
going against them for sure. But yeah.
Well, we know you're not going against your team. I mean, come on.
Right. Not that guy. So I mean, like I said, I think this game is going to be won in the trenches and decided there. Because if Lamar has as much time as he did against the Texans, it's going to be pretty overwhelming and hard to stop this offense.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move over into the NFC Championship game.
Surprised there's nothing from the Bengals fan. No comment about how the Chiefs are going to rub it into us over there, Jeff.
Well, I feel that y'all tackled all the main points. The only thing I would say,
well, you looked questionable when I was talking about the trenches for a second, so I was expecting a little follow up there.
Yeah, I did see a look in your eye. I kind of thought you were going to pipe in there, but there was such a long pause that I figured we'd move on to the next game. But if you do have something to say, please, please insert yourself.
No, but
see what's going on.
So I was impressed with the way Kansas City was able to contain James Cook last game. I thought that was very impressive, and I think they'll be able to do the same thing against Baltimore as well. So I think really the main thing is Lamar Jackson will have to have a very similar type of game as he did against Houston. He's really going to have to improvise, run out of the pocket and avoid the sack, which he's phenomenal at doing. And also, too, Josh Allen did a fantastic job of doing that.
Yeah, Josh Allen almost had 100-yard rushing this past game.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a very, very similar kind of performance from Lamar Jackson. Also, too, the last time that the Ravens got burned was that Rams game. I'm sure you remember, Caleb, where Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp just went completely off. I don't think at this point the Chiefs have those kind of weapons. I kind of expect this to be kind of like a 27-17 kind of game. I think it'll be fairly close early on, but I just think the rugged nature of this Ravens team, and I think frustration will set in offensively for the Chiefs. So I like the Ravens to kind of pull ahead in the third quarter in this game.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. All right. Well, now we will move over to the NFC Championship game.
Now.
Well, hold on. I'm going to call you now, Porter. Where's your pick?
I will make my pick when we make our picks because I'm first to make picks after we talk about this. So
that's true.
you are the king of the castle. So there you go.
Yeah, I am. I am going to be number one of the picks. I am leading in that. So we will go in that order when it comes up to it. Don't rush me. So we're going to talk about Detroit going to San Francisco. And we've been really praising this Detroit defense Everyone's been praising the San Francisco defense
Detroit team
all
as a
season
whole.
long. But I'm going on defense right at the moment. We'll get to the rest of it here. But right now, we're comparing these defenses as it comes out. Detroit's defense, I think, has been underrated. They've been playing extremely well, especially here in the playoffs. San Francisco's defense has been vaulted all year long. I mean, they've got Nick Bosa.
As long
they got
as they're
Fred
healthy,
Warner.
they've been phenomenal.
They have been, but Green Bay gave them a scare. They did not look like the defense they have been. I think this is going to be a good matchup here, especially for both teams. I mean,
with Deebo Samuel expected to be out, I believe this is going to be an interesting matchup now.
You don't have that threat. You're able to focus in more on Ayuk and not worry about that dual
Or
threat
Kittle.
that Deebo. Yes, sure, and Kittle. Yes, but
whichever one you choose.
You have them there, but it's not having Kittle, Deebo, and Ayuk.
And McCaffrey.
Monster right there on the receiving core. But even then, that rushing that Deebo can give as well. That's a huge that's a sigh for me. The other thing I wanted to bring up on this is you look at the quarterback battle. You have the number 1 overall draft pick going against Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so bizarre to think of it in those terms.
Such a great
truly is. And Goff has looked great. You have to give Goff his credit. He has looked great.
Yes.
He has done what he's needed to do. He has not put his team in a bad situation with bad turnovers. He's played sound football, secure football. And that's what you need from it. You don't need him to come out and win you the game. You need him to play secure football, get it into your key position players, get it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, give it to David Montgomery, give it to Gibbs, give it to Reynolds. Just get them the ball and let them do things with it. You're not you haven't had to ask Goff to go out and throw, for 400 yards to win you the game. You haven't asked him to do that. You've been able to play solid and do that, and that's how they need to attack this game. They need to look and watch what worked for Green Bay in the divisional round if they're going to be able to beat San Francisco with San Francisco. There's a possibility they could, but they need to do what Green Bay
did. The passing attack that's going to have to beat them. I don't think this run game is going to be very effective against this line. Now I know Ahman Green had a good game, but I don't think Gibbs is green. So I don't think this running game is going to be good. I think this game's going to be on Goff's shoulders. I think he has a fairly decent
Aaron Jones.
What?
You said Ahman Green. Aaron Jones.
I said Green is not Gibbs, or Gibbs is not Green. I'm saying Gibbs is not as good as Green was.
Who's
against
Green?
Who's Green?
Sorry, Jones. Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
we were trying.
I'm gonna go sit in the corner for a second.
You went in your DeLorean and went back 20 years for no reason.
I know. Oh, my bad. Apologies, everyone.
I didn't do anything wrong. What are you talking about?
Don't make me get my cane on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Running attack of
the
Green Bay Packers. So I don't think they'll be as effective running the ball.
You're just saying Gibbs. David Montgomery's had a great season with him. I think with the two-headed running back, which Green Bay did not have. They had one running back.
1,000 yards for Montgomery this year.
Yes. I think that they actually have a great running attack that they can actually take advantage of what Green Bay was able to take advantage of. They actually had that because they have the two-headed system to run with it. That's going to be their best bet. Now, yes, do they need to be successful in the passing game? I do agree, but I think their running game is much better than what Green Bay's was. And I think they have a chance of exploiting that to wear down the defense to get those openings from Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I mean, I think that defense was rusty too, so don't count defense on Russ' side.
Show up until the second half. I mean, he actually had some big plays in the second half, but he was absent in the first half of that game.
Yes, he was.
And it was after the running attack wore down the defense, and opened up those opportunities for Goff to be able to get those passes out to him. And they started short. He did get some longer passes, but I mean, it wasn't like he was catching the ball and running for 60 yards for a touchdown. That's not what
No.
Detroit's built to do.
Unless you're Amon St. Raw, he's going to do that.
I think the key in this game will be contingent upon the health of Deebo Samuel. I think he's that important to this team.
Agreed.
We saw what happened to San Francisco with the absence of Deebo, and so he needs to be at least a threat coming into this game. I would wait till the final last second possible to declare whether or not he's going to be out or not.
Well, unfortunately, you don't get that privilege. You got to pick today.
Well, no. I'm picking today. Don't get me wrong. So, my thought process is this: is that I feel that Kyle Shanahan's coaching ability, he's already prepared in his mind, probably starting in the second quarter of that Packers game. Okay, how am I going to win without Deebo Samuel? And he's going to be able to find a way to pick apart this interior defensive line for the Detroit Lions. And I think McCaffrey's going to have a hell of a game. And I think people are really going to debate who should win the MVP between McCaffrey and Lamar. Obviously, it's going to go to Lamar. But I think McCaffrey is going to put up a great fight, showing that he is actually a legitimate candidate. I think this is going to be an extremely close game. I expect this, along the lines of, a 28-24 kind of game.
Sounds good. All right. Well, unless you have anything else to say about this game, Caleb, I think we can move over to the picks because I am first in the picks.
One thing I want to say, too, real quick, is that Sam Laporta is a hell of a player. And
yes, Iowa makes time.
I'm glad you brought that up because this was a point I just forgotten. Thank you for reminding me of this. Detroit had an injury tied in their playoff game to bring in. They were able to sign Zach Ertz to come in to pair with Sam Laporta into this game with their injuries that tied in that they had. So I think that was a good signing and really a guy you could bring in that you can just really plug in and roll with a good veteran tight end.
Right.
And now we'll go ahead and go to our picks and who we think is going to win this next one, up to the Super Bowl. I'm leading right now with 7 correct picks. Jeff, you're right in second with 6, and Caleb rolling up the caboose with 5. So we're going to actually be picking in that order. It just turned out we happened to do it that way. I am going to go against my pick last week. I'm going to pick Baltimore to win this game against Kansas City. My reasoning is, as I said earlier, Buffalo's defense is not Baltimore's defense. And Kansas City was able to get past Buffalo's defense because Buffalo's defense is not elite. They're not what they are. And with whatever's being said right now about Roquan Smith listens to everything that's going on. He takes motivation from everything, and he gets this defense to play angry. I think it's going to be ugly in that aspect, and he's going to get after it. So I am picking Baltimore because I just believe this defense wins championships, and defense wins championships in the playoffs. And this defense is playing way too well to get exploited by, he's a DFW boy, Rashawn Rice and Travis Kelce. I just don't see them, barring massive injuries, Kansas City able to win this game. It's just the defense is too good. It doesn't matter what Lamar Jackson does. The defense is too good. What they did against Houston, no, Baltimore's winning this game. In the San Francisco-Detroit game, I am picking the Detroit Lions to upset the 49ers.
I feel like this is
I like it.
A little bit of house money. Being that you only got one game lead, I'm going to go with the Lions. I like what Dan Campbell's done here. I am rooting for him. I
Oh,
I
so
may
am
pick,
I hope
I
you
want
win,
them to
James.
get to the Super Bowl, to take one team off from that hasn't been the Super Bowl to get to the Super Bowl. I like Dan Campbell. I've been seeing it all season. I like what they're doing. I like the sign of Zach Ertz. San Francisco showed that they can be abused. I don't think Debo's going to play in this game. I think that's going to be a factor that helps Detroit defensively. I think defensively, Detroit is better than Green Bay, and they can actually learn from that game and exploit what they saw in that game. Bring some things against Brock Purdy, and Goff is just going to bust right it in and get this win. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be close. Uh, I'd say anywhere from 21-17 to 17-14. It could be ugly, and it's going to be a defensive battle on this one. But I am calling Baltimore, Detroit in the Super Bowl this year and negating the theory that the colors of the Super Bowl are picking the team.
And again, I
Jeff,
think
you are next. You are next in the pick. Go for it.
Oh no! So I'll go ahead and read one thing though that's interesting. We talked about Debo and his injury woes. Sam Laporta has his injury woes as well, as you alluded to, Chris. They didn't sign Zach Ertz just out of the blue for the hell of it. There are some concerns with Laporta, and there's even some concerns last week with Laporta. But
There were.
yeah,
he had a giant brace.
He had a hell of a game last week, and I just cannot envision a way to where he does not play. However, with that being said, again, as I alluded to, I think that Shanahan's going to figure out a way to utilize McCaffrey even without Debo, if he doesn't play, to really expose the interior of that defensive line. Again, as I was saying, I think they win that game 28-24. As far as the Baltimore Kansas City game is concerned, I like that game being somewhere along the lines of 27-17. I think that Isaiah Pacheco in the running game won't be able to get going like they did against Buffalo, but I anticipate Lamar Jackson to duplicate a similar performance to Josh Allen. So I like it to be a Baltimore San Francisco Super Bowl, a rematch of the power outage 11 years ago. Hopefully we don't have
the Harbaugh Bowl.
Yeah,
yes, a rematch of the Harbaugh Bowl again, which we saw at
my
cousin's place. Yes.
Yeah, that was it was my grandfather's place. We all were
grandfather's
there.
place. Yes.
We were all there. Yes, that was a good cookout there. Gator tails, strong eggs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Wild hog,
really.
Oh yeah, that was a good party. That was a very
good
Each chapter. Chapter.
Oh yeah, the pizza bread. That was the first time I broke out the pizza bread.
My God, the pizza bread! How could I have ever forgot about the pizza bread? That was amazing. I love the pizza bread.
All right, Caleb. We already you can skip over Baltimore, so Kansas City, because we know who you're picking.
Obviously, Baltimore is going to beat the Chiefs. Is my feeling. So you got 49ers and Lions. Man, I love the Lions. Love them, love them, love them. Like you said, you got Zach Ertz. I think Sam Laporta is going to play that game. Debo Samuel going down. But as much as I want the Lions and Dan Campbell to win this, I think the 49ers pull it out. When you've got a week to prepare and plan to not have Debo in that game, I think Kyle Shanahan can plan and scheme enough. And I think part of the rust has shaken off the 49ers. I think that was part of their early problems against Green Bay. So I just feel like San Francisco is going to win that game. I think it's going to be close, especially if Debo's out. But I do feel the 49ers are going to pull that game.
I just feel you two are buying into the conspiracy, is what it is. You're buying the conspiracy of the Super Bowl logo. That's exactly what you're doing. It's all right. It's all right. I'm gonna look like a genius, just like I did last week when I picked Kansas City. I'm gonna look like a genius when I picked Detroit.
I hope it's a
You
Lions.
could.
I want it to be.
Honestly,
We'll see.
if both of you had gone 49ers, I would have gone Lions just to be different and try to make up ground.
Well, you're
I'm not
right.
gonna lie to you. If both of y'all got 49ers, I would have gone Lions just to make ground.
I'm not doing it. I'm not just doing it because it's house money. I'm doing it because I honestly think Detroit's going to beat San Francisco. I really do. I have this feeling about Detroit.
Yeah.
Like I had the feeling about Kansas City last week. You got to go. You got to go with your gut. And I'm keeping the records. I still have the records. I'm holding on to them. They're here. So it's not like I'm making it up as I go.
Yeah.
Well, there's our picks. We'll see how this goes next week, and of course, then make our Super Bowl picks at that point. But we'll take a quick break and be right back. Sports Gumbo.
That's good. That's good. Man, that's good. That's what you call gumbo. Poor man gumbo.
And welcome back from the break. Hey, we've been really NFL focused here but it's the playoffs. That's what everybody's focused on here right now. But there are a lot of other things going on in sports right now, and that's why we've just kind of thrown everything else into the gumbo. So you're just going to get an over serving, a double serving of gumbo here in in today's episode. So that's what you're going to get. You're just going to get a whole lot more. But we are going to go ahead and keep it going with the NFL. We're going to go ahead and hit these NFL coaching changes that are going on right now. And the big hammer to drop today is Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan and going to the
Chargers.
The Chargers, the LA, not the San Diego, the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh coming back into the NFL ranks and going back to California after being in that San Francisco run, which we talked about the Harbaugh Bowl earlier. You guys picking San Francisco,
Right.
Baltimore again. So, what are your feelings about Harbaugh going to the Chargers?
I think it's a good hire for them, honestly. I think Harbaugh, they kind of need a little bit of a change of culture. So to me, either it was going to be Vrabel or it was going to be Harbaugh. But I kind of felt like they needed a bigger name. So Harbaugh would be the ideal candidate for them from a presidential operations standpoint and things of that nature. And I think Harbaugh can do some good for them.
I thought it was a fantastic hire, and I think this is a hire that puts the Chargers on the map in Los Angeles. And you have to remember the success that Jim Harbaugh had with Colin Kaepernick as his quarterback. He took them all the way.
And
to
Alex
the Super
Smith
Bowl.
too. He started with.
Well,
Alex
I know,
Smith.
but Alex Smith as well. But he took Colin Kaepernick all the way to the Super Bowl, and then now you have Justin Herbert, who's really a quarterback that you create like.
Build your team around.
I mean, if there's a quarterback that you could just create a video game, it's Justin Herbert, and so he has.
No, it's Lamar Jackson, sir. Get your facts right.
No, it's Justin Herbert right now. But
Lamar Jackson was great in NCAA 2003.
Right. Yes, but I think that
R2 to lateral.
What's going to be interesting, what Harbaugh does with this team, is how he addresses the wide receiver position. Keenan Allen is getting older now. Mike Williams has had some injury issues. They did draft
Johnson looks like a buzz.
Well, we don't even know that yet. These receivers
We
take
don't.
a lot of
He's
time
looking
to
like
develop.
I'll
But,
No, I'm
second that.
telling you, man. If you can't
They
catch
take a
coming out of
while.
the league, ask Bashard Berryman and the Ravens. If you can't catch
No.
the damn ball coming out of the league
Well,
and are
you
known
know,
for drops, you're not going to learn to catch when you're in the
I
NFL.
think we still have a long way to go to figure out whether or not
Quentin Johnson's a bust. Put it on the wall.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do that yet. But with that being said, regardless, they need another wide receiver because they can't count on Mike
I'm writing
Williams.
it down for you.
Fair enough.
Nonsense.
I think also,
I think that's
too,
what
the thing's
Uh,
going to be how he handles some of
Caleb.
these larger contracts. Because there's a lot of large contracts on this team. and a
Caleb, I
lot
wrote
of
it down for
underperforming
you,
players.
so it's now
Thank you.
on the record. I got
All
it.
right, awesome. Thank you.
I'll save it.
But like Derwin James, Bosa's contract and the injury history, I think there's going to be a lot of contract reworks this offseason too.
Well, my whole thing that comes down on this hire is Harbaugh just now running from what infractions he would have got in the NCAA? So basically, is he pulling?
You think he's pulling a Pete Carroll?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is he pulling a Pete Carroll? Or we're going to run away from it? And to me, that's exactly what it looks like. This is exactly what Pete Carroll ran away from these, not these same allegations, but allegations that would have got him in trouble, probably lost him scholarships there at USC. And then he went and took the Seattle job right after that. And he didn't win the championship that year, but he won it 2 years prior. He still had a good team that could compete and could make a national championship. And the same thing for Harbaugh. But we talked about this early in the season when all of the cheating scandals came down. Was that okay? Harbaugh and possibly brain fart. Now at USC, was it OU?
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah,
Lincoln Riley. I keep wanting to say Lane Kiffin, but I know it's not him because he's an old Miss. But Lincoln
he went
Riley.
to USC at what time?
True, he did. So Lincoln Riley, like we were all talking about, Lincoln Riley and John Harbaugh were going to be gone off to the NFL. We saw both of them leaving, and this I still see as the first one. Like we called it, and because of everything that was going on there in Michigan, hey, they were able to win the championship. Good for them. They were. Could this comeback later be taken away like USC's was, or like Reggie Bush's Heisman was? Possibly, but you know what? Whatever. You won the championship. Enjoy it. You have it. I think Harbaugh sees that Pete Carroll similarity, and it was the right move to get out of college football, even with the success you've had at Michigan at your old school. And you said it was your dream coaching job, and you could basically do what Saban did, run it. But with them getting into this controversy, the writing's on the wall. Just like with Pete Carroll, it's time to make the move. And with the teams he interviewed with Atlanta twice. He interviewed their Chargers. I believe he interviewed with the Commanders. But when you come down to it, he's a quarterback guy. That's what he is. And he took the team that had the best quarterback. And yes, I believe it's a perfect match for both him and for the team when it comes down to it. They do need to restructure contracts. That's true. But he took the team that has the more established quarterback and the guy that he can help make. Because like we said, he did well with Alex Smith. He took Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. Couldn't beat his brother because they had a better defense. Wink, wink, hint, hint, nod, nod. But I think this is the best team he could have gone to. I think it was the best. They have their.
It's the most.
I think a lot of that was Brandon Staley. It is, but I think it was Brandon Staley was not
Brandon Staley, and I
team.
think it's the GM as well. That was there. Which we'll get into a little bit more too.
And we will get into more of that later. But with that, I think this was the right hire. Like you said, Jeff, they needed to distinguish themselves because the Rams were already in LA when they made the move from San Diego up. They needed to distinguish themselves. This is how you distinguish yourself. With the success that the Rams have had, you need to bring in a name and bring in somebody where you can outshine the Rams. You have, it doesn't matter about the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Broncos. No, they have to outshine the Rams. They have to do better than the Rams.
Somebody's got to become that team of that city, which nobody's
Only-
technically claimed, but the LA Rams have a strong foothold right now.
Well, they had the
They
Super
do
Bowl.
because
Well,
they
that's
had the Super Bowl win, and they had been in LA sooner. The Chargers were in LA for 2 years before they went down to San Diego.
yes.
They need to build. This is what they need to do to put their foothold into LA. And the one thing they're lucky for is they don't share a stadium like the Jets and the Giants do. Because if they did that, no one would go to their games. Like they wouldn't. They're lucky they have their own stadiums to go with. Because now they have a stamp to go with it, and they have something to put up to the fan base and say, "Hey, I know Sean McVay's had the championship, but we brought in Jim Harbaugh. We've got a chance. We have a better team, and we have a chance to win a better coach now." Is what they're going to try to sell. So that's what you get with that. The other head coaching hire I wanted to bring up, Jeffy's boy Brian Callahan, Bengals offensive coordinator, heading over to Tennessee to take over the helm after Vrabel was let go.
Yeah, so
Your
this
feelings
is
on that?
a interesting hire to me. I certainly I don't doubt the coaching potential of Brian Callahan at all. I think he's
Coming down from Bill Callahan,
yes, son of dad Bill Callahan.
former offensive line coach for the Cowboys and many other teams, and offensive
Right.
coordinator too. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and head coach of the Raiders that went
Yep.
to the Super Bowl and got smoked by Tampa. But so the only question
that's
that
really Sean Gruden's team.
yeah, it was John Gruden's team. I agree.
Yeah.
No argument there. So the only again, I think Brian Callahan can be an effective coach in this league. However, he's not called plays before. I wish he had, to be honest with you, at times.
Yeah. Over
Because
Zach
I was
Taylor.
because I thought Zach Taylor. There were times to where I had no trust in him whatsoever, and I didn't think he had any idea what he was doing. But aside from that, I think the biggest adjustment for Brian Callahan is who will be the offensive coordinator, and if it is him, is he going to call plays? Is it going to be? It seems like it could perhaps be a very similar situation to where Zach Taylor had never called plays in the NFL, and then all of a sudden he's not only the head coach but the offensive coordinator as well, essentially. So I'm just going to be really curious about the setup. I don't think it's a bad hire. I think it's very productive that he's been around such fantastic skill position players with Burrow, Mixon, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, you name it.
Well, look back at his past and who he's coached before at quarterback.
Right, exactly. So
I mean, it's not like he hasn't worked with like scrubs or he's something new. I mean,
right, and also too, I think what's going to help is that I think, obviously the Tannehill Henry days, those days are gone. That is a different team that's not coming back. So now I think maybe we'll take maybe half the season to figure out what Levis is, and then probably we'll move on to a different quarterback in 2025. But it's going to be interesting to see how Brian Callahan is able to run a show on his own with most likely calling the offensive plays. So I'm going to be very
you're talking
curious
about
to
them like
see
they're your
how
team
that
now. Like you're now a Titans fan.
Oh,
That's what you're talking about, Mike. Are you a Titans fan now?
No, I'm not. I'm not Sater. Do I look like Sater? Oh,
Kind of
I
looks
have a
like you're a
beard.
Titans fan.
Yeah, you got a bit of the beard there.
All right, I gotta shave
It's
this
like
off.
you're
I don't wanna-
transforming. You're transforming slowly.
You need to go with goatee.
Yeah.
See?
I did that for a while, but it
Goatee.
creeped out
Goatee.
Kelly for whatever reason.
It creeped
I don't know
out.
Why
why
don't
it creeped out.
Well, if it did, then why don't you keep doing it?
right?
I should just do that again.
You should do. Yeah, surprise me with a goatee for a couple of
My
weeks.
wife
and
actually
be like,
requested the goatee. She said that I think you look good in the goatee. I think you need to grow it back. And I go, okay, I will do that.
Man, I missed the goatee. I want to bring back the goatee.
And go
Bring it
goatee.
back.
I'm just gonna do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Do
Can't
it.
do the goatee.
Do
Can't do
it.
the goatee.
Do it.
Who else has got hired today, Porter?
Do it. Yeah, do it. Go with
Well, the other
goatee.
day, Antonio.
Yeah, do what he said. Do it, goatee. Be a
Yeah,
man.
Antonio Pierce got hired to the Raiders.
Antonio
'cause
Pierce got-
Al Davis or Mark Davis, excuse me, said my players threatened to revolt, so I had to hire.
Well, I think this is a lesson learned from before, right? Because remember when they fired John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, in my opinion, did a hell of a job. It should have
Very
been
true,
hired as
very
the
true.
head coach, but then Mark Davis, like an idiot, went for the name in Josh McDaniels, and that was a fucking disaster. And so, as opposed to going that route again, because he probably figured that Harbaugh was going to take that job, he went ahead and said, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm
That
going
and the
to
John
not
Antonio
make
Pierce.
the same mistake I did before. I'm going to bring Antonio Pierce, who's popular.
Well, once Pierce took over, the team turned into a different team.
yeah, and they were the
They
number
played
one
lights
points defense
out.
in the NFL until
Hell.
they played the Colts.
As crazy as this is, I think that Raiders team, if they started off the year with Antonio Pierce, they may have won that division over Kansas
Oh
City.
yeah, highly probable. Yeah, especially
It
the
wouldn't
struggles
surprise
KC
me.
had
The way
early.
they played. Oh, the way they
Um,
drummed Kansas City. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I
Now,
definitely seen
the
it.
one thing I don't like about the Raiders situation is their hiring of the ex-Chargers GM. That makes no sense
That
to
is
me.
odd. I hate that.
Um,
I really hate that. I don't understand
yeah.
the thought process.
That's-
Supposedly, he didn't want to pair a rookie coach with a rookie GM.
Well, it's
I'm
an
like,
idiotic.
Why
reason.
not? Yeah, I was like, you got
They're
a
gonna get
president
a
of
failed
football
general
operations for
manager.
a reason. Exactly. Yeah, you're getting
I
this
mean-
failed general manager who has not been able to draft well, signs bad contract. He's not good as a GM.
Well, when they
So
signed Pierce, that was good. Bringing
Yes.
the GM to me was bad. To me, it was the Raiders being the Raiders. They have to do a good
yeah,
with a
it keeps them 500 balls.
good with a bad, keeps them right in the
You're
middle. That's
50-50.
what they do. That's what the Raiders do. That's what Al Davis did. That's what Martin
They
Davis
are
is
who we thought
continuing
they
to do
were.
now. That's what they are. That's what
Yeah.
that's what the Raiders are. They do a little good. They do a little bad. They do it both together. They just
Yeah,
they even it out. That's what it is. That's what
very
the
true.
Raiders
Very true.
are. But-
Yeah, not wrong. Well, what do you
Well,
think
other
of the
NFL
new
news I wanted
offensive
to talk about?
coordinator? Oh
Hmm?
yeah, I was going to ask Jeff, what does he think about his new OC? Then your ex QB coach Dan Pitcher as the new OC for the Bengals.
I think that's the most likely choice at this time.
Well, they promoted him.
I don't believe that Zach Taylor's ready to give up any plays at this point. I would assume that Dan Pitcher will just step right in and be the Brian Schottenheimer of this operation. And so I fully anticipate that happening.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
He's been Burrow's coach, and you want to make everything Burrow.
And he did a
friendly.
good job with
Why don't
Brownie.
you
No,
choose-
that's what I said. That's what I said. I think it's
The
going to
interesting
happen.
fact is he was hired initially under Marvin Lewis.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's going to happen. I think it would be a great hire. What I'm just saying, though, is that at the end
Great
of the day,
promotion, technically. A great
it's
promotion.
going to, yeah. I mean, Zach Taylor's still going to be the one calling the plays. I wish someone else. I wish Dan Pitcher would start calling the plays, but the
Agreed.
reality is that
Well, maybe if he
You'll-
shows, maybe if he shows like
No,
it's in his
Zach
input and
Taylor's
shows
not going to
into
let
it,
that
maybe he
go.
can have.
Zach
Well, still,
Taylor's-
maybe he can put some more input into Zach Taylor and say, "Hey, maybe we should do this right here." You know, he has the ear of Zach Taylor now. If he gets promoted, that shows that hey, he was part of the old regime, but by getting this promotion, that's showing that he has got the respect of Zach Taylor to help push that in and actually help push some other ideas into Zach Taylor's head that weren't normally there.
man, that glass
What else
of
can you
Union
hope
Porter is is more than half full right now, man. I mean, shit.
I'm playing. Okay, then I'm playing your devil's advocate on this.
Yes.
Is
Well,
that, hey,
I know you
yeah.
are, and
No,
I
he's part of
appreciate
the
it.
old,
I don't
he's
hate
part of the
it.
old regime. Well, if you're part of the old regime, if he didn't respect those guys, why would he then promote them? Is all I'm saying. Then he obviously respects his opinion and respects
Sure.
what he has to do with it. So why wouldn't he listen to him? So maybe he might listen to that. That's my point I'm bringing up.
I hope it happens. That's
Hey,
all.
hey,
I hope it
you can hope in one hand and shit in the other. So
Raiders?
yep, exactly.
Uh,
I think as far as head coaching carousels that we've been talking about, the rumor has come out of a possible Andy Reid retirement at the end of the season. And
it's not
do you
gonna
guys see this as a possibility happening? Hey, especially if they're able to maybe slide by Baltimore, get in another Super Bowl, would he ride into the sunset? At the end and basically not do the Bill Belichick, or do you think he's still
No.
got a couple more? He wants to
I
steal
think
some
you
more.
got 2 to 3 more years of Andy Reid. This is something that fell out of the road where probably Andy Reid mentioned a comment like, I'm getting old, I need to retire soon. And someone ran with this and said, oh, Andy Reid's going to retire. And it's like, no. Andy Reid's enjoying it. It's a relaxed environment, I feel like, in Kansas City.
Oh, he can do whatever he wants to in Kansas City. He
Exactly,
can retire
yeah.
at his will. Whenever he wants
Yeah.
to, he can.
I mean, if he decided all of a sudden in game 2 of next year to retire, he could do it. And KC would still be like, thank you for your service.
Well, I feel like Bill Belichick could have done the same thing 5 years ago and no one would have cared. And so, I mean, in theory, Andy Reid could retire tomorrow and it'll be like, cool. I mean, he had a hell of a run. But at the same time,
and he's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame coach. Yes,
Which I don't
in theory,
think he wouldn't
could
have gotten
retire.
if it wouldn't have been for the Super Bowls that he won at Kansas City. If he wouldn't have won the Super Bowls at Kansas City, I don't.
Maybe not, but it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter now. No, he'll be in the Hall of Fame now. Absolutely.
So
but if it would, yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it means just because you're in the Hall of Fame, just like you're just going to get up and retire. I don't see there's any indication from Andy Reid that he's going to retire. It's not
also like college where there's a huge kind of changing of the field with the NIL and transfer portal. There's not something like that happening in the NFL.
And what's been the theme we've been discussing for a week and a half now? You have Patrick Mahomes. Why retire when you have Patrick Mahomes?
Very true. You have possibly the best quarterback in the league. And I
said
kind
of interesting too is if Eric Bellamy gets hired by the Chiefs as the OC again. They rehire Eric Bellamy, and then a year or two, Reid steps aside and names Eric Bellamy his successor.
No,
what is your hard on for? Sorry, what is your hard on for being me? Like you,
I just feel like Andy Reid's like that's my coaching tree.
What shrine do you have in your room for Eric?
You talk about him on a religious basis, like he is your
coach and he's his shot. But this is more Andy Reid helping his guy out. Like you said, he kind of took Washington really didn't do him any favors, so I feel like this is Andy Reid saying, "Hey, come back, get a little bit of shine. You're going to take over when I leave, and everyone will see my coaching tree is great. You're good, and you can have success without me."
I just think you have a hard on for Eric Bieniemy. That's what I think.
Well, that's why I'm sitting down. It's under the desk.
Exactly.
Well, at least you're honest about it.
I'm glad you're honest about it. That's your honesty. All right. The other NFL tidbit I had to put in is after the Green Bay loss, CeeDee Lamb's mom going off on social media saying that her son would be better off playing with C.J. Stroud in Houston. I wonder if she's still feeling the same way after the way Houston played against Baltimore. But
this is honestly like everyone's got to stop talking. This is kind of like the whatever Patrick Mahomes' brother is. Like if he would just shut up, Patrick Mahomes' life would be better. I feel like if she would be quiet, CeeDee Lamb's life would be better. He's like, Mom, just be quiet. Don't worry about it.
Well, she
You
was
know.
responding to other people's questions to her. The same thing happened to Dak Prescott's
Okay.
brother. People reaching out to
Yeah.
them and
Well,
asking them
my
about
apologies.
this.
And I did not
Yeah.
know that part of it. So if that's the
Yes.
case, then more power to her. Say what the fuck you said.
Well,
Fuck
also,
the people for trying to go find her.
Dak's brother reached out and said, "Yeah, I want him to leave Dallas because I'm tired of the fans and the
yeah.
way that they treat him." And that's the whole thing is that Dallas fans, they are who they are. We have our reputation.
Unfortunately,
Leave the players' families alone. Don't reach
yes,
out to
1,000%
social media is a
agree.
poison. Stop it. We talked about this
Yeah.
earlier. Stop being that fan. Just okay, your team lost. Okay, go take a shot at tequila
Yeah, I mean,
and
post on
misery
Dax
about it, and
Prescott
then
of
guess
everything
what?
and just
Go
say
to
you
sleep,
suck
wake up, and
and go on
move on
about
with
your
your
life.
life. It's a
Yeah.
game. Don't go harassing these players' family members.
Yes.
Really? Are you that sad in your life that you have to go out and harass family members of players of a game? Stop it. Don't do that. Be grown men, be grown women, and own your life. Okay, your
Right.
team lost. Guess what? It sucks for about a couple of hours. Get mad, have your little to your friends,
Right.
and then you know what? Move the fuck on. And I don't say fuck too much on this podcast because I want to
No.
keep it clean. But you know what? Move the fuck on. Grow up. Grow the fuck up.
Motion seconded
Be
for sure.
adult. Because guess
Ugh.
what? You need to be a better a better version for your kids. Because if your kids see you acting like this, acting like freaking morons because your team lost, then what are we raising coming up? You know what? When the Cowboys lost to the Packers, you know what I did? I covered my mouth multiple times. I almost dropped I don't know how many F bombs during that game, but my kids were there. So you know what I did? I changed the words. I changed what I did.
Use your
I was
Christian cuss
frustrated.
words.
Yes, I did. But when I was frustrated, I'm not going to yell earmuffs because I know they'll still hear me over the earmuffs because I'm loud. Earmuffs don't work in my household. But that's the thing is that, okay, I was upset, but you know what? I didn't show it to my kids. I'm not going to make my kids terrible fans. I'll make them passionate fans, but I'm not going to make them terrible fans. That's our job when we are teaching our kids about everything in life is if they're going to be fans of a team is to teach them to be good fans. Teach them to, if they're playing or if they're rooting for the sport, to lose with dignity. If you're going to lose, you can be mad about it. You're okay to be mad about it. That's okay. That's a good reaction to have because you're upset because you didn't do well or you didn't perform well or whatever happened well that you lost. But you don't be a dick. Don't be a jackass about it. Lose with dignity. Hold your head up high. Hey, you played your best. You did the best you were, and you weren't the best that day. That happens. But that's a problem that we have in this society is people doing that. Sorry, I had to go on my rant because to me that is very important. And as a father, I find that very
Yeah.
I really imbibe that into my children
I
is
second your rants.
anybody that doesn't can go suck it as far as I'm sorry. You can go suck it
enough.
because if you're not teaching your kids that, then you just go teach your kids that. Teach your kids that it's okay to lose. It's okay to lose. You don't have to be happy about it, but it's okay to lose because it makes you better. Makes you better, and then that makes you lose. Hey, Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made. Look at it. Anyways, let's move on into something that's passionate to all of us here in Major League Baseball. And there's been a lot going on here in the off season. This one right here is going to be very passionate for all of us. Is that relief pitcher Josh Hader, signed with the Houston Astros.
I feel like Jeff's prediction of this owner, like just wanting to prove he could win a championship and then getting drunk at a bar and not caring anymore, is unfortunately proving true. Now I don't know how much of this is the Bolly's contract, and they're not sure about money, or that they're trying to go after Montgomery first, then they were going to go after Hader supposedly. So I don't know how much of that plays into it, but I mean, Houston just got better, so that sucks.
I personally hope Hader's arms falls off. I hope that he is an injury prone all season long, and I only hope all of this because he signed with the Houston Astros. If he would have signed with any other team, I would have wished him the best of luck. Hey,
right? We wish
good for you.
well, sir.
You signed with the
Yeah.
Houston Astros,
Not
and
with
I will
Astros.
forever never root for the Houston Astros or wish any goodwill towards them because I'm a Ranger fan. And you know what? That's fine. This motivates me even more. We need to sign Montgomery. We need to bring him back. And you know what? We need to make sure our bats are ready to go. And you know what? When we come up to Hader, I hope we
And
hammer
fix this
him
arbitration
and
here
right.
with
I hope
Garcia.
I hope that we make Houston eat that money when we slam him in the 8th inning and 9th inning, and we completely just
We hope so.
cream him left and right. So I'm not even going to say good for Houston. I'm going to say F you, Houston. I'm going to say F you, Hater. I hope his arm falls off. I'm not. That's all.
I don't wish him well in Houston, and it fucking sucks, big dick.
No, I wish you all. I think that you, can suck a fat one. Lick nuts. I never want you on my team. I hope you get injured. I hope you have an injury-prone rest of your career. And if you later on want to sign with Texas, I hope that we tell you to F off. So that's it. Yeah, I'll be better. I'm fine. I don't care. I'll be better. I don't care. Don't care.
Mhm.
I will be that person. I am happy wearing that flag. I'm gonna check that off my list now. Fuck you, Hater. There we go. Perfect. Now, after having my bitterness, I want to extend congratulations, well needed congratulations to Adrian Beltre being welcomed into the Hall of Fame. And wow.
Oh, well deserved. First
If he
ballot,
gets
almost 100%. He got like 95%
he should have
of the vote.
he should have had 100%. There's the only people that
Yeah.
hate Adrian Beltre are the people in Boston because he left there and came to the Rangers. That's
Yes.
it. And you know it was
Agreed.
a Boston
Yeah.
fan that rooted against A-Rod. Or
Yes,
against Peter.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know it was, you know it's a Red
Beltre,
Sox fan that did it.
You look at like 3,000 hits. You technically come up a little short on the homer mark, which is usually 500. You got 477 of those, 1,700 RBIs. And then you go over to the defensive side where he got robbed a couple times in the Gold Glove, but still wound up with 5 of them, and is known as one of the best defensive third basemen of his generation.
He is the best third baseman of his generation.
I mean, he was just such a great all-around player. But besides the stats, going back over some of like the funny moments with him and Andrews and him moving the batting circle over when the umpire was like, "You got to get over there." He's like, "No, I'm gonna swing him over here." You just loved Beltre. His love of the game rubbed off, and it was.
He deserves a statue. When he gets one, it needs to be him getting on one knee, his one knee home run.
Oh yes,
100%.
yes, the iconic
That
home
was
run.
iconic. Whenever you saw him get it on one knee, you knew that ball was gone. Every single time. It was just a one knee home run. I can't count how many times I was in Globe Life Park and watched a one knee home run. Like when you saw him come up and you saw him drop down to one knee, you're like,
he's easily
every
in the
time.
top 10. Some people, he's their favorite Ranger of all time, or he's in the top 5 easily for people. I mean, he's ranked.
Oh, he is in my top 5, and I loved that. Like when he came to the Rangers, that was one of my favorite all-time signings. All-time signing.
I agree.
Possibly my
100%.
favorite all-time signing. Oh,
yeah.
You know,
I liked him and Guerrero for some reason. I love the signing of Guerrero even late.
Vladimir Guerrero was good. I enjoyed
vibe.
it because I loved Big Vladdy.
Yeah.
Cliff
I love
Lee was in
Vladimir.
one of my big signings. I loved signing Cliff Lee at that time. But Beltray,
Obviously, the Corey Seager and Simeon signings have
Corey
taken over
Seager
all
was
signs at this
fantastic.
point.
But
Oh man,
Beltray, when they brought him in, the way he embraced Dallas Fort Worth, the way he came in and said, because he played with Seattle before he went to Boston,
yeah.
and then came to Boston. He wasn't in
Yeah, he
Boston
said the way
long,
the team embraced him and the
and
community embraced him too.
the
He
way
said the same thing back to them. It's just like, hey, y'all started it and I continued it.
when he came in, he
Basically.
said, "This is my home." And my only regret is that we were not able to win a World Series with Beltray because he needed one, and that's why
Yes.
when we
I
won this
am
World
glad they
Series,
brought a lot of that 2011 teams back. Or was it 2012 team? Sorry, my ears are getting this up. They brought a lot of them back to throw out ceremonial first pitches,
yes.
bring rosin
Yeah.
So I loved that was part of this World Series recently.
Hey, and it was
Um,
and during this World Series, they brought Beltray back. They brought him in, and they actually, and a lot of people gave respect and said, "Hey, this World Series is to Beltray. This is to Elvis Andrus. This is to Michael Young. This is to all these good
Yes.
players." So
It's
having
built
all
on this
that,
foundation.
it was built on
Yeah.
that foundation. Having that in there was big. It was. It
Uh,
truly
yeah.
was. I'm very, very happy for Adrian Beltray going into the Hall of Fame. I hope he goes in a Ranger. It looks like he is, but
Yeah,
I hope he
believe
goes
is.
in as a Ranger because
I
I
think
think
he will.
he was instrumental to where this team is now and the
Yes.
culture that this team built to be where it is now. And I thoroughly enjoyed. I watched multiple games of him at third base, and
Oh
it was
yeah, you wanted to watch the Rangers game just because Beltray was there.
and it was you didn't just want to watch them on him bat. You wanted to watch him bat because it was okay. When is he going to do
You
something
wanted to
big?
watch him field
Watch
too,
him
though.
defensively. He
Snag
was
those
so
crazy
great
balls.
on both sides.
Yeah, or the goofiness of where he pretended to catch the ball and Andrews would catch it behind him, or Andrews
Oh,
would come over and stand
well,
right next to him while he caught the ball. It's like,
That's
called
what
Elvis
the
Andrus
statue
his little
should
brother.
be. The
called
statue
him-
should be Elvis
Yeah.
what are y'all
touching
doing?
Beltray's head.
It
Yeah.
should be because Beltray hated his head being touched, and
Yeah,
Elvis.
I know exactly.
And he called Elvis his little brother.
Yes.
He called him his little brother, and they would do that all the time. And Elvis
But I
would
love
always
also too,
head,
like
and
where
he'd get
Andrews,
pissed
I
off
feel
at
like
it. And
took
yes,
it a
I would
little
love
too
that
far.
too.
Don't touch my head.
Yeah,
As much as I
Beltray
love
knew
that-
when to be serious and was professional, and I think that was a little bit of the difference between the two players. Because like I remember when Andrews thought he hit a home run, and it kind of bounced off the wall. Beltray's looking at there, telling him to run. Like you better freaking go. And Andrews is having to step it up after he turns second just to make it a triple.
As long if Beltray goes in as a Ranger,
And Beltray's looking at him after
as
he
he
comes
does-
back. He's looking at him in the dugout, just like you idiot. Sorry to hurt you, but it was
if
just-
Beltray goes in
silly.
as a Ranger,
His
which I
moves
do
are
believe
awesome.
he will,
You-
I believe the Rangers should give him a statue, and it should be the one knee.
I think that'd be
Yeah, as many
fantastic.
statues as they have at that new ballpark, he may already
He
have one. I
des-
don't know.
He
But-
deserves it, especially going to the
Yes.
Hall of Fame. He absolutely deserves to
Oh
have.
yeah. And he'd be the second Ranger since Pudge. I think was our last Hall of Famer to go in as a Ranger.
That's true. It was
I mean,
Pudge,
he'll-
and before that was
he's
Nolan.
going into the Rangers. There's just no way. No way.
I feel like he will. You see.
Because
There's no way.
what else would he go? What else would he go? He's not
Seattle
gonna
would
go
be the
as a-
only other thing I could see
No,
him
he's
going
not.
as.
No,
but
Seattle
I
almost
don't.
ruined his career.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The exit of Seattle, I don't see him doing that. So I think it
if
will be
anything,
Rangers.
it'll be-
Well,
yeah.
as we're talking about the Hall of Fame and who all went
Yes.
in, we all know Beltray's gone in. We have to give credit to the other two participants who are going in with him, and that's Joe Mauer, catcher from Minnesota, which
Which is
I
kind of
don't have a
surprising.
problem.
He's a first ballot, in my opinion.
I was
I think
surprised
he's a
he was
Hall
the
of
first
Famer, but
ballot.
first ballot's a little iffy.
I
to me.
don't have a problem with it, though. Like, I didn't expect him to be a first ballot, but I'm not upset about him being a first ballot. Yeah, if you get that feeling,
Yeah,
I didn't
I can feel
expect it, but I'm not upset about it. It's not like, why the hell is he there? Because
Yeah.
he had a good career, but I didn't expect him to be a first ballot. I think it was more that he didn't piss anybody off.
Highly probably.
Great
He was
media
one
He
of
was
the
guy.
more
not
liked players.
controversial. He was not controversial. He was the best hitter on his team when they're in their playoff seasons. He was the best player on his team. And I think that
Yeah, well, him and Monroe for a while, but
true.
yeah, but
But at the same
Morrow
time,
took over for sure.
but he didn't rub any of the voters the wrong way.
No, he's always good with the media.
It always comes with it. You don't rub the voters the wrong way. So I was surprised to see him there, but I wasn't. So I wasn't, and then the other is Todd Helton. And Todd Helton got in, and this brings another University of Tennessee former player into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Helton was a quarterback with Peyton Manning.
That QB room was
University of
stacked, Jeff.
Tennessee. They were stacked.
And Heath Schuler was in that room too, and he was the
Little did they know they'd
third
have two
overall
Hall of
pick in 94.
Famers. Two Hall of Famers in that quarterback class.
Mhm.
They didn't know it was going to be a baseball and a football one, but
Yeah.
two Hall of Famers in that. I just thought that was a nice little hey, Todd Helton getting the Hall of Fame of baseball while he was also a quarterback at Tennessee. Impressive.
Right.
Impressive.
And also too, just Heath Schuler was in that quarterback room as well. He was an NFL bust, but he was still the third overall pick in the draft. So
He was.
That's the competition that Todd Helton was going against, and again, just a great athlete. Grew up watching him. There's an extra focus with him. Obviously, being a Knoxville kid, in addition to being a Tennessee football player and baseball player. So, one of the best hitters I've ever seen. And I think it's well deserved for him getting into Hall of Fame.
I completely agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I agree with you, Caleb. Like, I'm not necessarily opposed with Joe Mauer going in the Hall of Fame, but first ballot?
Yeah.
Like, that seems off to me. I don't
That's
like that.
why I said he didn't oppose the media.
The media loved him. The media was obsessed with him.
They did.
They were in the playoffs. He could do no wrong.
Right.
He shit gold. That's what he did. He made the Minnesota Twins a likable franchise where people actually enjoy watching them now.
Yeah.
Nobody liked watching the Minnesota Twins before Joe Mauer.
Hey,
I remember Joe Mauer growing up, and I was like, holy shit, Minnesota has a team.
That was once every 5 games, though.
Yeah, we're getting close to the Minnesota's like, I was like, no one likes Minnesota, but Joe Mauer made them likable. So I'm not surprised that he's being brought in for this. There's no surprise. It is what it is. Hey, it's not like it's somebody like who doesn't deserve it. We knew Joe Mauer was going to get in the Hall of Fame. So, okay, it's surprising, but it's not, hey, F this guy. This guy doesn't deserve it. Why is he a first ballot? He has no deserving. No, this guy deserves it. They just don't have anybody else worthy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So does it matter if you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Does it matter if you're a first ballot or later on?
It doesn't. I just have a.
Well, the first ballot of the Baseball Hall of Fame is a sacred thing.
Well, no, but I just kind of have I'm not sure if he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame or not.
I think he does.
With that too, Jeff.
I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he did enough to get in, but all those injury years and
that's the problem I have.
maybe
He-
6 really good years. And
I thought he
catcher,
helped
then he
bring
moved to
Minnesota into a
first.
quality team, especially during his time there. And I think he was at his healthiest years. He was the best catcher in the league.
Well,
yeah.
but,
Oh,
I
he
mean,
I'm not disagreeing with
That's
you.
what I'm saying. Like he
there.
had 6 good years as a catcher.
I'm just saying,
But
Is
whoever
that
else.
enough to get in the Hall of Fame?
But
Well,
Dale
okay,
Murphy, for example, was one of the best outfielders in the league in the '80s. He's not getting in. He's
but
he's
it
not even
also
getting
is
considered to get in.
position means a lot when it comes down to everything. Well, you know what? Here, let's do our homework for next week. Let's see who else was eligible
You
for
know,
the Hall of
maybe
Fame. And
maybe we'll bring back What the F with Jeff because we don't have to preview Super Bowl that
well,
week.
maybe we
So
can.
Very
We
true.
can do what the F with Jeff, and you can look up who else could have been a first ballot Hall of Fame or first ballot Hall of Famer this
or
season.
just a Hall of
That
Famer
doesn't
in general.
matter. There are people withholding
Or a Hall of
votes
Famer in
just to
general.
not let
Hall
somebody
of
get in
Famer
the
in
first
general.
ballot.
Okay, yeah, then here's your homework. Bring up who's not in the
You
Hall of
give
Fame.
yourself homework. I'm not taking any homework from
I'm
I'm
doing
giving Jeff
homework.
homework. This is what the F with Jeff. I'm giving Jeff
I'll do
homework.
the homework.
you.
Jeff is homework. Okay, this is your homework. Who should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, or who should have been the Hall of Famer over Jeff Maurer?
Perfect.
All right. There's your homework there. And guess what? Preview
We'll
for
look at
next
it.
Starting
week.
now.
We'll
Let's
look
see
at
up
it.
Now.
Jeff of what this is. All right,
Bring it
we'll
back.
run a short of time, so we'll go ahead and jump into a couple of things real quick. In the NBA, the Bucks have hired Doc Rivers after firing their first-year coach after just 6 months into the season. Surprising. Your opinion?
This
I
is
thought it was
very
a weird
weird.
hire. Yeah, I thought this was a weird.
Why
hire
not just hire Doc Rivers at the start? Because you fired your rookie coach, and they're doing well.
It was
The
being
Bucks are
they're second in the Eastern Conference, and he was getting having support from Doc Rivers.
yes,
Well,
right. He
well, I
was
think the
advised.
writing. Well, I think the writing was on the wall when Doc Rivers came in at December.
Yeah, this is
Of,
probably a
well,
grass is
of
greener on the other
2023.
side. Someone
So
says,
a
"Wait,
month
I
ago,
got
it's
Doc
just like,
Rivers."
yeah. So I'm gonna be an informal consultant, and then I'm going to be responsible for firing Adrian Griffin, and then therefore I could take over. There's some Pat Riley elements to this situation, but with that being said, I thought it was a bizarre hire to begin with. Obviously, I think this is a hand-picked hire from Giannis.
Oh, obviously, it's
to
crazy.
bring-
So you're saying Doc Rivers is the next Pat Riley?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
And so, but I don't think a first-year coach was the right hire for a win-now team such as this. I think Adrian Griffin did a fine job with this team, but when you have Giannis, desperate to win another title, when you have Dame Lillard wanting to win a title, it could be
Win a
in the
title.
playoffs for the first time. Exactly. So that was a bizarre hire to begin with, but then again, I think the writing was on the wall when they brought in Doc Rivers. So it's not too shocking to me that this happened, to be honest.
All right, as we move quickly through everything else in the gumbo, English Premier League. We can jump into that real quick, fast. Arsenal on Saturday getting the 5-0 win over Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace at the bottom, not the full bottom, but middle row of the English Premier League. They're not getting relegated, but still,
As long as they
Arsenal
don't get relegated. it's
finally
okay.
getting a big win, 5-0. They're now third in the standings. However, on Sunday, Liverpool 4-0 over Bournemouth, and they now have a 5-point lead there in the English Premier League, looking to knock off Manchester City, who is sitting tied with Arsenal and Aston Villa at 43 points. Liverpool's been looking good, and they did this win without their two top scorers. Craziness
I mean,
going
anytime
over
you
in
can,
the Premier League.
Yeah.
anytime you can win a game without Mohamed Salah, you're doing good things. So
And Salah was the big reason for their win against Arsenal. So
yeah,
it's been rough, especially as a new Arsenal fan going, come on, we just need to win something. Here we go. But
well,
Arsenal,
I think the main thing is just get in the Champions League.
that is, you got to be in the Champions League. That's all you got to do. They're now in third, and they've got a big game coming up against Nottingham Forest, to where they can go ahead and solidify themselves into the Champions League. So get in the
That's a
Champions
must.
League and go from there. That's the big thing right there. Last thing I have is going to college football. If you two have anything else other than that, go ahead and speak free or forever hold your peace.
I will hold my peace.
We'll let you go to your college football.
Or I'm going college basketball, actually.
Oh,
Some big
that makes
losses
more sense.
here in college
I thought you said-
basketball. Yeah,
did you
college
say-
football.
He did. It was a flub. Go ahead.
you
please.
flubbed,
Well,
but
it's
it's
a flub.
college
It's a flub.
basketball.
It was a
All
flub. Forgive me. Okay, college basketball. College football's over. First game, this happened yesterday. South Carolina knocking off number 6 Kentucky 79-62. We've had a lot of big losses here in the top 10, but of course, it's January. We expect that. We expect teams to kind of take things off. We're expecting
Yeah.
teams to start making their push here in February.
I just want to make a
Against
real
an
quick.
unranked, I know you're going to make this point here against an unranked South Carolina. A little surprising.
Yeah, it really it's very concerning at this point for Kentucky. I mean, we knew that defense was going to be a weakness for them, particularly transition defense. But at this point with Kentucky, their defense is so bad. They really can't even compete at a top level anymore. People were thinking about them being outside contenders for a national championship. Quite frankly, their defense isn't not even close to being there. And
well, especially when you lose 79-62 to an unranked
exactly.
opponent. Your defense is not there for any reason.
Exactly. And so, especially on a night to where you can't make shots, it's going to be really ugly, and you're going to lose to.
You can be lucky in the tournament to be a 3 seed if you're lucky.
And that's the thing, Chris. At this point, I mean, I'm
probably an early exit 3 seed.
I'm thinking Kentucky is more along the lines of a 6 or 7 seed, the way they're playing defense at this point. So you could be statistically really good at offense, but if you can't make a shot on a given night, then that Kentucky team is going to be in trouble. So
exactly,
that's a yikes moment for Kentucky.
That's why I bring you up is that you're lucky to be a 3 seed at this point, because I agree with you. They should be a 6 to 7 the way their defense is playing, because that's surprising to be beat that bad by an unranked opponent. Okay, if you lost 79-78, okay, hey, wasn't your night. Everyone agrees. Hey, the college basketball season is long for a reason. Not every night's your night. You're going to have an off night. It happens. But to get beat that bad, that's when things need to start wandering. And that's why I then bring up my next part of Texas OU. Texas OU was ranked 11. Texas beat them 75-60. Right before that, Texas beat number 9 Baylor 75-73. 2 big wins in a row against 2 teams, which after they lost to West Virginia, everybody counted Texas out. They were done. That's 2 huge wins right in a row of, top 11.
That's just Big 12 basketball. They beat
It is
each
Big
other
12
up.
basketball. And I agree with that. I put it in there, but when you beat 2 teams in the top 11, that's something to talk about.
Oklahoma's overrated, so I don't think it's
We
necessarily
talked about
huge.
Oklahoma being
Beating
overrated
Baylor,
for a while. we talked about that, about beating Baylor. I think Baylor's not overrated.
No,
Baylor's a good win.
So the main thing that I've noticed with this Texas team as of late, what's kind of been responsible for their turnaround, this team has really gone the way Dylan Dessou has gone. So if he has a great game, they're going to have a great game. If he doesn't have a good game, then they're not going to have a good game. So they've lacked the physical toughness as they have in years past, but as long as Dylan Dessou is going, then this team is going to go and be competitive.
All right. Well, going into then tonight, or actually last night's, or tonight, Providence actually beat Seton Hall. Finally.
Today, this afternoon.
Finally.
That knocks them out of
63.
the Big East
And
championship. That lost
it
to
does.
Creighton and Providence now.
But Providence
It's a
did
huge
just win
win
a couple of nights ago. Over the weekend, Providence won 100-62 over DePaul, which DePaul has been the dregs. That's what you should do against that team. But the reason I bring up Providence is because this Saturday, Georgetown comes to town, comes into Rhode Island, and
the Ed Cooley reunion.
it's the Ed Cooley reunion, Ed Cooley homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Providence is going to be out to win this game.
Oh,
Hardcore. Hardcore. English has put this game, he circled it when it came down. I expect Providence to really put all their effort in and win this game, especially at home there in Rhode Island.
Agreed.
However, saying all this, a week from today, Providence goes to UConn.
Sorry
At
about your
UConn.
loss, buddy.
So I see this being a loss. I really do. But I look forward to watching this game as I talk to you two. As we
Agreed.
both, as I look at you on my computer, I have my TV right above me. And I look forward to seeing this game and watching this game. Even though I, in every heart of my soul, seen UConn completely demolish Providence.
Right.
I think this will be a great game to watch. It really will.
Oh yeah, I think it'll actually be competitive with Providence.
So
Providence
they're
seems
shooting
to
their
play
shot.
up
They're shooting their
because they're-
shot a chance early, I think, with the Cooley reunion. So I think this will be kind of a letdown game for Providence.
It definitely could be. I don't like that aspect of the schedule of that. You have Cooley coming back, then you have to go against number one in the country. I don't. That's a lot to go with right there. I think they're going to play up. Like, I believe Providence right now is playing down for their competition. Like, they seem to be bad against the competition. They play well against the competition, higher competition. So I think with the Cooley game, they're going to play up. They're really going to be up. They're going to play up against UConn, but I don't think they're going to have enough to beat them. I'm not calling Providence to beat them in any way.
Right.
UConn's going to win this game. It's going to happen. But I think Providence is going to give a push. It's probably going to end up being a 20-25 point game win. But I think the Providence is going to. I think it's going to be that bad. I do. But I think Providence is going to stay hard into it. It's just going to get out of their hand in either the third or fourth quarter.
I think this UConn team
is flawed.
I think this UConn
team
it
is flawed in regard to last year.
They're not the same defensive team. There's no go-to guy.
They're the same defensive team, but there's not.
No, they're not. No.
Yes, they are.
No.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
They are a good defensive team.
Tell me down low who scares you.
Layton. That motherfucker's averaging 2-3 blocks a game.
Please.
And he's back now, Jeff. He back. Back from the foot injury. You still got Caravan who averages a block a game. You got Castle's who's averaging a steal and a block a game. You got Newman who's still averaging 3 steals a game.
I just think y'all are
This is the same defensive
underestimating.
team.
I just think y'all are underestimating how much Sonogo and Hawkins made such an impact on their team. You're underestimating.
Well, I agree. Like I said, there's not a go-to guy anymore. So you can get under the Shugon skin. You can foul Klingon. And you can also get in foul trouble very easy. There's not a Sonogo could make free throws. He could make dunks. He was powerful. He could do it all. You had your go-to guy. If you needed a break in the scoring, Sonogo would be your guy. Klingon is not that guy. I think they're trying to make Caravan that guy, the power forward. But I don't. The evolution is not. It's not the same as having Sonogo.
Well, Caravan's not there defensively, but I'll give you credit.
It's because they're making him more of an offensive threat.
Right, exactly. But I think over time, Caravan and Klingon can be legitimate defensive threats. And you made a good point. Klingon may already be a great defensive threat already. I mean, the guy's a fucking he's
a walking toothpick, but he's a giant.
No, but I mean, to me, he's more imposing than Zach Edey is on Purdue because, Klingon is like 7'3", 300 pounds, basically. So, I mean, that guy's a freaking beast. But with that being said, I don't think the guard play, at least from a defensive standpoint, is there yet. They don't have the ability to play any transition defense whatsoever, which I think has been a problem for them in the games that they've lost. And it could be a problem with them in the defensive in the NCAA tournament. But
with Purdue, how do you see if Purdue loses to a under 25 team?
they can't do that.
How are they going to stay up there? Because they have to win to stay in. If they don't win, they are not in this top 25. They're going to drop dramatically.
And from what I've seen thus far, as if I had to pick two teams that I like the most, I would say Purdue right now, and the other team I would say is Auburn.
After what I just said,
Purdue and Kansas, honestly,
Purdue and Auburn.
Purdue,
and I know,
top three.
And I know Auburn lost to Alabama last. I know
they did. They did.
Auburn,
that's why I'm surprised you said Auburn.
I know Auburn lost to Alabama tonight.
Russell surprised you said Purdue, but I said Purdue too.
I'm very aware.
I think Purdue's a better, more balanced team than they were last year.
But I think Auburn's. I think Alabama's not the best matchup for Auburn. They both play very up-tempo kind of styles. I think the teams that Auburn will play late in the NCAA tournament, they're going to be playing more of a slow down kind of pace, and I think that's best suited.
Well, they got to get there first,
and I think they will. Sure. I mean, this team is so balanced.
Do I need to write this down?
I think Auburn. Yeah.
Auburn's going to make a deep push, apparently.
Yeah, Auburn's going to make the Final Four. Put that down.
Ooh.
All right. That's a bold statement, Mr. Rogers.
Auburn will make the Final Four. They're just too good offensively and defensively at this point.
Auburn Final Four written down.
That's handwritten, handcrafted.
I hand wrote it right here. Auburn Final Four.
It's in the notes. It's on the board.
Done.
That's it. Auburn's in the Final
Four. You don't have. I don't need to study. You should trust me. I write down everything.
Oh no.
I write it all down. It's
I watch the shows. I watch the shows. I watch the shows back. I got.
You want me to show it?
No, you're good. You seen your chicken scratch?
Yep.
Yeah, I see gibberish. Looks good.
Yeah, that looks like chicken scratch.
J
filler 4. Ob filler 4.
J file 4. I see it.
Yeah. Yep. It says J Ob Final 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm good. I'm done.
You're spit, as Austin Powers would say.
I am spit.
I ain't got nothing else to add in this Gumbo.
Hey.
The pot has been stirred.
The pot
Always
has
glad
definitely
that
been
we've
stirred.
had, a good conversation. Always good. We've had our arguments and our, agreements as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give a heads up to the Dallas Stars. They've been doing well.
Very true.
They'll make the Gumbo next week.
Still
We got a
sitting
big Gumbo.
third. No, they didn't make the Gumbo, but we've had a lot going on with the Gumbo. Usually they make the Gumbo, but they're sitting about third
Yeah.
in their division. But want to thank everyone for joining us here. Please like us on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else we're at, Instagram. Please ask us our questions. Please let us know what you want to hear about. Otherwise, we're going to pick it ourselves. So if you want to hear something we talk about, please reach out to us and we will talk about it. And we will
Okay.
check our social media aspects and we will talk about what you want to hear about. That's the whole reason this podcast is for bringing out the conversation. So reach out to us, tell us what you want to hear about. Let's all talk about it together and let's build this community. Let's build this sports community and talking about things that we want to talk about and having the arguments that we want to have about and have them here in our, as you want to say, our safe space. That's where it is. This is a safe space where we can have all of our
Very
arguments.
safe space.
Yep.
No
Ain't
Not
nothing to
judgment.
worry
going
about
after
it.
everybody's family.
No judgment.
Safe.
Nah.
No judgment.
You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about your family coming after. You don't have to worry about death threats coming to anybody. No. You don't have to worry about that here. Come reach out into our community. Have your safe space. Let's all talk sports. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's make fun of each other. And it's okay. Let's all do everything we need to do to each other. And it's all right because we love each other. That's the way it comes down to. So for Caleb Cover, for Jeff Amos, this is Chris Porter. I want to thank you all for joining us at Next Round Sports. And you know what? Join us more often in our safe space of Next Round
Yes.
Sports. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next round.